What's going on? Welcome to the latest episode of the FPF First and Goal podcast. I'm Brent Bodkin. I'm joined as always by my partner, Quaysie going to Maule. So a lot of stuff to get to. I know a couple of days ago we had another podcast that came out. We covered the divisions that we didn't cover last week. So we had done co-ed 1, 2, 3, all the 5v5 divisions, and women's 1 and women's 2. So this time around, I'm going to try and cover everything. So this week, as I said on the last podcast, this week we have our Division 5A and 5B All-Stars. Like we did with Division 6, we're going to combine Division 6A and 6B to make one All-Star team. So that's what we'll be doing as well for Division 5. I'm super excited about this. There's a lot of good players that Quaysie and I are going to choose. And again, if you're not on this all-star list, don't take it as a shade. Feel free to prove us wrong. Feel free to do better. And again, we're only picking 8 players per team. So I mean, again, with all the players in Division 5A and 5B combined, that's obviously not enough for everybody, unfortunately. But 8 players now. So if you do get your name called out, congrats to you. But again, if you don't, use it as motivation to, like I said, to prove us wrong.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, so you want to jump into it right away and kind of
Yes, sir. Yeah, let's hop into
I
it.
believe you got the first pick last time, right? So we're one.
Wait a second. No. Actually, no. So women's 2, I got the first pick. Women's 1, I think you got the first pick. Yeah, because you took Sarah Parker.
Yeah, and then you got 5A.
Oh, no, 6. Okay, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I got 6. My bad. You're right. Okay, my apologies.
I get
right.
So
there you go.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I'm gonna go. So I'm gonna start off. I'm gonna start with a rusher, which is kind of something weird to say, but I'm gonna take the guy Clément Robard.
Yep.
20 sacks. He has 20 sacks in 6 games. So pretty much averaging 4 sacks a game, which is pretty freaking crazy. So I'm sure he's a game changer, especially when you get the amount of sacks that he's getting. It's consistently, so it's not like he's played one team and he just had a lucky day. He's literally getting 4 sacks a game, easy. So
listen, even if he was playing 1 or 2 teams, 20 sacks is still 20 sacks, right? I mean, that's impressive. I'm not gonna lie, that was gonna be my first pick as well. So good job by you. Good job by you. Okay, so you got Clément Rompré there from Les Mangeaux des Bains.
Yeah.
So that's it. Solid addition, man. Solid addition. Kudos to you. Okay. A lot of people would choose a quarterback, but yeah, you got to take a rusher. You got to get someone to stop the quarterback. So solid on your part. Okay, so since my consensus number 1 pick is off the board, I'm gonna go with rusher as well. Actually, no, I don't have to go with rusher right now. Let me be smart about this. There's a lot of other rushers to choose from. Again, this division is stacked when it comes to like high impact rushers. So I mean, I got some guys to choose from. I'm gonna roll them with the quarterback. I'm going to the QB position. So there's a lot of names to choose from. There's guys like Kenny Batoulier, Noah, I think it's Lieblein. I hope I'm pronouncing that right from the Gooners. I'm gonna go though with from Ice Up from Max Marini. Why you might ask? Yeah, listen, he has almost 1,500 yards. Right, the man has 35 touchdown passes. So 35 touchdown passes, no matter what division you're in, is obviously good. I'm looking at him now. Right, only 7 INTs, which is pretty decent. I mean, 7 INTs is pretty par for most quarterbacks. In fact, in the lower divisions, like 5 and 6, usually a lot more than that. You could even say maybe double-digit INTs would more likely be the case. But again, he only has 7 INTs. The biggest thing for me, 2 things. He's only been sacked 5 times. It shows you he knows how to move. He could also rush, right? He has 26 carries for 232 yards. He has the second most rushing yards in the division. He averages 9 yards a carry. He has 2 TDs. But the biggest reason why I'm choosing Marini, the biggest number of all, is 65% completion percentage. Mm-hmm. That's important. It's not just, you can say, okay, maybe it's dinking and dunking. 35 touchdowns doesn't suggest that he's dinking and dunking. Unless he has the top receivers and all FPF that are taking 5-yard drags and 5-yard hooks and breaking a zillion tackles and heading to the house. Pretty sure that's not the case, right? So yeah, 35 TD passes, and he's completing 65% of his passes, which for me is key.
Yeah, he's also averaging about 4 touchdowns per game throwing.
There you go.
And his team is 8-1, I believe. Are they 8-1?
They're actually Ice Up is, I believe they're 4-4. Actually, hold on, I'm looking at it right here.
Yeah, And then maybe I'm thinking about some.
Yeah, they're 4-4, but whatever. It's 35 touchdown passes. He's at least trying to do his part, right? So
well, the games that I've score kept for them, they won. So I figured they had a better record.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
Good pick. All right. So at least now I know I don't have to worry about quarterback situation. I kind of that could be my last pick, so I'll keep keep it out of my pocket. I'm gonna go defense. I'm actually gonna go defense today. I'm gonna start my defense. I'm gonna go with Noel Souls.
Nice. Yeah. Souls. Yeah.
Yeah. So he plays for Dirty Dogs.
Yep.
12 interceptions.
Yep.
12 INTs. I've seen him play one game so far, so I don't really know. I don't really know him exactly, but 12 INTs. He brought one back for a touchdown, 8 tackles. He's played 6 games, so he's averaging 2 INTs per game. So again, a game changer. So I think someone like him, including my rusher right now, it's a good start to have a strong defensive side.
Oh, 100%. Honestly, like he was going to be one of my top 3 picks because, like you said, 12 INTs is 12 INTs, right? It doesn't matter what division you're in. That's a lot of INTs, and I know you've seen it, and as have I, like guys that put up those huge stats like that, right, in the lower divisions. Those are guys that are going to slowly make the climb, and before you know it, we'll be playing Division 3, we'll be playing Division 2 and Division 1 in the next couple of seasons. Yeah, Noah Souls, that's a solid pick. I'm going to stick with defense as well. I'm going to choose. So I was torn between 2 guys. I'm going to go with the first choice I had, though. So Sam Omumbo.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I had him too.
Yeah, no flags given. So he doesn't have 12 INTs, but he has 8, and 2 of them he brought back to the house for a pick 6. He also has 13 tackles, so it shows he knows what to do when a receiver around him. When he doesn't get his hands on the ball, he at least showing he can make a tackle, right? And that's an underrated part of any type of football. So yeah, so Sam Omumbo from No Flags Given is my second overall pick. So I got a quarterback, and I got at least one solid defender so far.
Okay. All right. Oh yes, you said. Wait, so who did you said Samuel? Who?
Samuel Omumbo from No Flags Given is the name of the team.
So weird. I don't have him. I have him, but I don't see him. I'm trying to pull him up on the website.
I'm gonna try and find it too. I found the last name when I was prepping. Yeah, for some reason it's not popping up now. Neither is this team, which is really weird, but it should be. Hold on. Let me see here. Anyways, while we're doing that, so the pick is yours coming up. But yeah, we're trying to find this guy right now. So let me check. He's in 5A. So his team is in 5A. Let me just see.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. I had him for Reborn Respect.
Okay, maybe right. There's a chance I could be wrong about the team. I got a million names on this list, so maybe I messed up on the team that he plays on. Let me just triple check here. Yeah, so 5A. By the way, so you took Noah Souls and you have the rushers. So we both have.
Yeah, here he is. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, no, I have him popped up. He just didn't pop up he didn't pop up on the first. No.
Yes, I know this guy. Listen, This guy, he has length, he has speed, he can put up some numbers on offense as well, right? This guy is he's a pass deflection machine. Well, maybe not pass deflection. He has 4, which actually is tied for second place on his team. But
yeah, he also has 2 pick 6s. So he's
exactly.
When he's getting that ball, he's bringing them back to the house.
And my apologies, I shortchanged him. I thought he had 13 tackles, but now it's actually 18. So yeah, he's I think he leads his team in tackles as well. So he's around the ball. That's what you want, somebody on defense, right?
Yeah, for sure. All right, no, that's a good pick. I had him too as one of my top, second top defensive guys. So if you didn't take him there, I was taking him next pick. So
fair enough.
So I'm gonna go with the receiver side now.
Okay.
Okay, 62 target, 42, 11, 9, 10, 14. Oh, I'm gonna take from Baby Sharks. I'm gonna take Maxim Sharkiwa.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I seen him.
I'm gonna pull up right now.
He's legit.
So what got me surprised with this guy is that He has 28 catches for 338 yards and 14 TDs, right? So
Right.
he has 28 catches. So every second catch technically is a touchdown.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly.
So
Spot on with
it
that.
just goes to show. I mean, if you're gonna give me a touchdown every second catch, I mean, sometimes it comes in a situation where you get the ball in the red zone, but 14 touchdowns and 28 catches, 338 yards. You're averaging 12.1 yards per catch. So you're averaging a first down per catch.
Yeah,
Probably definitely one of the top receivers right now.
that's fine. That makes sense. That makes
In
sense. Okay, so I'm gonna go receiver here as well. So I sure Shakari, I think is his last name. Yeah, from the Baby Sharks. He was the guy I was looking at for sure. I have someone ranked ahead of him though, so it's gonna be so again. My quarterback is Max Marini from Mice Up. I'm gonna go for his top receiver, and that's gonna be Will Rack. So Will Rack,
yeah,
48 catches, leads everybody in that division, right? So I mean, he leads everybody in catches with 48. He leads everybody with yards with 516. He doesn't have 14 TDs, but he has 12. So I say 12 TDs is not so bad. He's averaging 11 yards a catch. So Will Rack or William Rack, if you will, that's going to be my number one receiver on my team.
yeah. No, I've seen him play. He's Max probably number one target. That's the
Yeah,
reason why he has so many catches.
yeah,
I think he had like 56 targets or something like that. It was
but
something like
yeah. So
it was,
it's 48
or
catches, 54 targets, which is pretty
54
good.
targets. Yeah, it's pretty good. So I mean, he's catching pretty much every ball is thrown him. I know I score kept a couple of his games, and some of the balls were kind of overthrown, but he still gets a target
Yeah,
that wise. But
exactly,
you know what I mean?
exactly.
He's a solid receiver. Every time the ball does get thrown to him and the target's there, he does catch it.
Yeah,
So
sure.
that's a very good pick. All right. I'm going to go back to receiver. I'm going to take uh, Benjamin Carlisle.
Carlisle, yeah. Carlisle, he's good. He's good. I've seen
Uh,
him.
so I'm
I've
sorry. I'm
seen
trying
him.
to pull him up. Uh,
I've seen this guy play. He can play. He could ball. If I'm not mistaken, I think I've seen him play quarterback as well, and he's actually not a bad quarterback at all. I'm trying to find out the same guy, Benjamin Carlisle. I'm pretty sure it's the same dude. I saw him play in the Fall Cup, I think. Yeah, I think it's the same guy here.
so he plays on pump and dump.
Yep,
He plays on pump and dump. He has 25 catches for 475 yards.
yep,
Just gonna bring it up here. Yeah, so he played 5 games, 25 catches for 475 yards and 13 TDs. He's averaging 19 yards per catch. He's averaging pretty much every second catch as well. He's also averaging a touchdown.
yeah.
So
That's exactly.
solid guy. He probably gets a lot of yak yards after catching the ball. It seems like it. I've never seen him play before, but I always see if you only have 25 catches and now you're 25, 13 are TDs. I mean, definitely a stud
Yeah,
receiver.
definitely, definitely. Okay. I like that. I like that pick. Um, I got a lot of options here. Okay, let's see. I think I'm gonna go. So I'm gonna stick with the offense. I don't want to pick only guys from the top teams because I mean, again, in every division, there's always guys on the teams who are struggling a bit that are still really good players. So with that in mind, I'm gonna go with a guy. So I wrote for Div Six. I think it was last winter or the winter before. I think it was 2 winters ago. And there was a guy that I saw playing for the Flag Dealers, and the Flag Dealers they struggle at quarterback. The quarterback, I think it's Roy Khalil. I want to say I can't remember. I'm gonna check that out in a second. Quarterback is a try hard guy. Is not the greatest athlete or not the greatest thrower of the football, and that really sets a team back. But what I saw from scorekeeping a lot of their games and from writing for Division Six was this team had some receivers, and I'm gonna go with a guy who could separate on deep routes. He can separate on short routes. Great hands, runs pretty good routes. So that's going to be Mike Haddad. Mike
Nice. Okay,
Haddad.
I had him too. I had him on my list as well.
Yeah, so I'm looking at it. And again, I'm not trying to throw any shade to quarterback. Yeah, it's Roy Khalil. That's right. Good dude, and he tries his best. It's just he's a little limited as a quarterback, at least in terms of accuracy and timing. But he has some really good receivers. And Mike Haddad, again, he leads the team 32 catches, may as well say 400 yards, and 9 TDs. So that's going to be my next pick.
No, it's a good pick. MICHA. That's a solid pick. I'm just gonna pull him up.
Yeah, so that team they got pretty much three main weapons at receiver. So there's two Haddads. There's Mike Haddad, who I picked. There's also Mark Haddad. I imagine they're related. And there's also another guy on that team, and Eric Ham Hamparsumian, who I've seen play as well, number 81. He's a pretty good receiver too.
Yeah, I played versus Mike Haddad. Well, not necessarily me, but when I had this school, like the school I was coaching at, when we had a tier 4 team, we ended up playing these guys.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure this guy toasted us for at least like 3 or 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, he's good. This guy's legit. He's 100% legit. And I'm looking to see.
Yeah, he's fast.
Yeah, even in defensively, I mean, he doesn't have any INTs, but he has 7 sacks. So if you need a rusher, he can help you on the pinch, right? He leads the team with 7 sacks this year.
Yeah, very. I know. I remember he was very fast. Um,
And I think with him, I think he's one of those guys. If you talk to him, you try to get him to play on your team in a higher division, it's worth a shot. I don't know if he's going to say yes, but I think he's definitely worth a shot because he's a guy who's definitely better than playing in division. I think it's for five B. He's a guy that could definitely
yeah, for sure. No, he definitely could. He definitely could be a. He could adapt well in 4, and then when he gets a bit better in 4, he definitely could play 3.
Yeah.
You just have to start learning things that's a bit different.
Yeah.
Timing routes, faster pace, and stuff like that. But he's definitely a player that could drop down and play in the better divisions. It's a good pick. I'm gonna go back to a receiver. His stats are not amazing yards wise, but I've played with this player. I'm surprised he's even playing in this division because I played with him in Division 3 with Sharks. The time that we actually just talked about, we ended up beating you guys. Jordan Dubac.
Yeah, you can. Nah, he's not a Div 5 player, dude. I saw that too. I saw that too. He's not a Div 5 player, dude. Come on.
Does he play? Does he play?
I'm sure Jordan. I know. I played across from Jordan plenty of times, dude.
Okay. I'll leave him for the process.
I would have picked him first overall, dude. I looked at that last night. I was like, nah, this guy is not a Division 5 only player. I would have picked him like first overall. He's legit corner.
He's a 4A. I didn't realize he was playing 4A. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to go with. Let me make sure this guy's playing. He should be fine. I'm going to go with Thomas Coulomb. He plays for Big TDs.
Okay.
Yeah. He's got 24 catches, 241s, 10 TDs.
Okay.
Seems like a reliable receiver. Is having 10 yards per catch, which is pretty good. He's getting the touchdowns that he needs as well. So that means he's a big target when it comes down to the red zones or when he has to break one out. And yeah, and he was number 1. So usually most guys that were usually number 1, it means they're pretty good guys. Not a lot of people get to pick number 1.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Okay, that's solid. Okay. I want to go. So I'm picking a dude right now. Defensive numbers aren't that impressive, actually. You know what? I could probably get him later. Let me come off with this guy for a second. I want to go for a buddy of mine. He's played on my team numerous times. He does play quarterback, but he's also a really good guy on defense. He's a dude that can call your defense. You can put him in any spot. You have him at safety, you have him at slot / linebacker, you have him at corner. He used to play, his knees aren't that great now, but he used to play rusher in Division 1 a couple years back, and Division 2, and he's pretty much now playing only Division 5. Kenny Batoulier from the Super Troopers. Again, he's a guy I've had on my team for a million years. Every summer he plays on my team. 5 INTs, 1 touchdown, 17 tackles. He's a great 2-way player as well. Like I said, he can play quarterback. I'm looking at his stats right now as a QB for the Super Troopers. Right now he has how many touchdown passes? So as a quarterback, right now he has 26 touchdown passes. But again, he's not going to be my QB. I'm going to have Max Marini for that. But Kenny's a guy. I've had him play receiver on my team. I've had him play anywhere on defense. He calls our defense. He's phenomenal. He's a winner. Team first player too. That's the guy who I want on my team. So Kenny Batoulier is going to be my next pick.
solid two-way player.
Yeah,
Especially if you have someone that's a veteran that's able to call your defense. It's something that you definitely
yeah,
need
it's key.
to help you out.
It's key.
All right, I'm gonna go back to receiver. I'm not sure. I'm kind of sure, but I'm not exactly sure that this guy plays snapper. But I'm pretty sure I've seen him play. I've seen him play snapper before, so I'm
Okay.
pretty sure, especially the amount of targets he has on this team. I'm gonna go with Joe Morgessi.
Again, Joe's a guy. He's not a D5 guy. He plays on Div 3 with big fat bats. I played against him last summer. So yeah, he's Div 3.
Does he play now?
Yeah, he's in Div 3 right now with big fat bats. We'll get when we get to Division 3. They're actually the only winless team in the
No,
division.
he's not. He's
He's
not
not
this
really?
season. No,
Oh, really? Okay,
no,
my bad on
not.
that.
He's on.
I assumed he was. I thought that was his team.
No, he's on Pasta or
Arabia.
Bata, and
Yeah,
then he's on
yeah.
CTE, but he's not. He hasn't played any games with them.
Oh,
But yeah,
okay. Yeah, Joe. He's an employee of the league. He's a good dude. He's that big guy who like you could put him kind of in that.
yeah, I know who he is.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
he is. I'm not sure if he plays snapper. I kind of glimpsed at some of the games he played with. He played this season. I've seen him every time I'm looking. He's catching the ball, so I'm
Right.
pretty sure he's playing snapper. He
Nah,
has
he doesn't.
62 targets. So
Nah, he usually plays receiver. Yeah. So I'm looking at it. So yeah.
okay.
So you know what? With the big fat bats, I'm completely wrong. So it's usually Luca Lucchesi who plays in a higher division. She's usually the snapper. And then yeah, Joe usually plays. I think either slot or wide. I remember lining up against him in the fall
Well,
season.
all I know is he has a lot of targets on this
Yeah,
team.
yeah,
He's a big body, so he knows how to place his body where he needs to.
yeah.
He has 12 TDs, so he's definitely a red zone target. Especially when you're that size of a player and you're able to use that size as your advantage.
Exactly.
A lot of people don't realize how big advantage is in red zone because you can't run through a defender, right? So as soon as you have that upper ledge on that defender, you're pretty much saying, throw me the ball, I'm boxing out.
Yeah, it's
kind of like in basketball, when you're boxing out, you're just kind of there, and the guy can't really do anything about it. So
that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Okay, I'm not gonna
scared me. Like this guy plays on this team. I was like, oh, another one.
Because I remember seeing, like again, I played against him tons of times with Joe, great guy, and I know he played for the Big Fat Bats. I honestly thought he was maybe not the captain, but it was one of his teams. So I remember like commissions my team, and then we do the captains there, and he would always come over, and I assumed it was his team. And then I've seen him play CTE, and I know he's playing. He played it for another. He's playing in a higher division, but I don't think he's on the team full time. Not there's another team besides CTE where Joe played. I could be getting the seasons mixed up, maybe.
Well, he played a game for Mongoose, but like they're on their. They're this is tier 3. This was last year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There you go. Okay. So hey, listen, that's on you. So good job getting him because again, yeah, he's a huge threat, especially in the red zone. Okay, so you know what? Since you're gonna pick a big dude, I'm gonna pick a guy who could defend him. That's also a big dude. So this guy, regardless whether they have Joe or not, I want him on my team. Chaz Pisanelli from the Texas Whales. So this guy is pretty much a younger version of Joe. A big body, a good receiver. He has 5 TDs, which is not going to really blow you away. 17 catches, 261 yards, 5 TDs. But why I want him on my team is because I've seen him play with the Texas Whales a bunch of times the last 2 years. He's a big dude that can move. They have him at safety a lot. He has 5 INTs and 1 pick 6. So Chaz, I'm gonna have Chaz covering Joe in our fantasy game, and that's what I'm gonna have on my team. Chaz Pisanelli from the Texas Whales.
It's a good pick. That's a good pick. I think I've seen him play. Have I seen the Texas Whales play? I think I seen him play in Shadigi, but
Right.
I could be wrong.
He's one of those. So I don't know if you do this. Obviously, you and I both play tackle, right? He's one of those guys who every time I go to a field and flag, whether I'm playing or scorekeeping, and I always look and I'm like, which one of these guys play tackle, either now or in the past? And I always look. And so a guy like Joe, I never asked him actually, but a guy like Joe, I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure he probably played some tackle somewhere, maybe D line, O line, maybe tight end. Like Chaz, I'm thinking the same thing. Athletic. I'm not sure if I maybe saw Concordia shorts or some other team shorts at one time, like a football team shorts. But he's a guy who I'm definitely think, you know what, I'm sure this guy played tackle at some point or another in his life, or maybe he's playing it right now. So
Yeah, well, That's what I look at. Sometimes I peek at guys' shorts to see if they played CJ ball or university ball or
Exactly.
just because it's something to look at. Okay, so it's my pick. I'm gonna go back to defense. I'm going to choose uh, I'm going to choose. Wait a second. I'm going to take Ryan Quaysie.
Oh, damn you. Okay.
So he plays for the Demons.
Yep.
His stats right now are 10 tackles, 6 INTs, 2 PDs, and 1 pick 6.
Yep.
So he's averaging. He's only played 5 games, I believe. I just had to pull it up.
Yep.
Is that right? Yeah, he played 5 games, 6 INTs. So he's getting at least one INT per game. So again, an air game changer that's going to help my defense. And he's also got a pick 6. So just goes to show that he's a ball hawk. When the ball's in the air or when he has to get to a spot, he gets it. Or when he has to bring a touchdown, when he has to bring an interceptor back, there's good chances that he could do it.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be my next pick.
Yeah, that's, you know what? I was gonna pick him as my last pick. So truth be told, a buddy of mine, Neil Wright, plays for the Demons, and so he listens to our podcast, and he goes, "Make sure you choose Ryan Quaysie." I was like, "Really?" I was like, "Let me check it out." And I know the Demons, they won the championship a couple years ago. They're a good team. They're a a little cocky. They're not afraid to let you know how good they are, and I respect that. And so Ryan Quaysie, I started looking at his stats, and like 6 INTs, 1 pick 6, and then look like you did at the games played. He hasn't played the full season. Like he hasn't played the same amount of games as his teammates. I don't believe. And like 6 INTs is pretty impressive, right? So 6 INTs is impressive over a 10-game season, right? He's only played, I think you said 5. That's pretty good. So yeah, solid pick by you. Solid pick.
So you're on pick. This is pick because I
7 for me.
okay, and okay, because I think I'm at 7.
Yeah.
So I have one more pick.
Yeah, exactly. I got 2. You got 1. Okay, I'm gonna go with a lot of options here, man. I think when we do this again, if we do it again, I think we need to have 10 players because 8 feels like it's not enough. I'm gonna roll. I was really torn on this one. I'll let you know who I'm not picking afterwards. I don't want to help you out. I'm picking.
I have to go QB, so you have nothing to worry about.
Okay, that's true. That is very true. Okay. All right. So I got a little time then. Let me maybe I'm gonna go another direction. It's true. You do have to go quarterback.
I'll help you out with that. I have to go quarterback, and I'm kind of I'm not. I have 2 picks in mind, but I'm kind of going back and forth with them right now.
Good to know. Okay. I think I'm gonna roll with this guy. I had him on my list, and then you were looking at somebody, and I was looking at his stats, and I was like, that guy's actually a little bit better than I thought. And I was like, okay. I looked at his defensive stats last night, and then but I hadn't seen his offensive stats, and I looked, and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna do it. So I'm gonna go with it now. No flags given. So my bad. I had given Sam a mumbo to them before. He doesn't play for them. He plays for the Reborn Prospects. Thank you for that. So I'm gonna go back to no flags given and actually pick a guy that does play for their team. So my bad on that. I'm gonna go with Mike Phillips from No Flags Given. Mike Phillips, number 23. I looked at his defensive stats at first. I'm like, okay, not bad. I'm like, he has 3 INTs, 7 pass deflections, which is important. But I'll go with him for more on the offensive end. I'm looking at his stats right now. 18 catches, it doesn't wow you. 330 yards is pretty good. 9 yards a catch. So he's another guy. 18 catches, you do the math. Pretty much every second catch that he gets is a touchdown. And he's averaging 18 yards a catch, which tells you he has some wheels. So Mike Phillips of No Flags Given is my my second to last pick.
Okay. So my last pick. So right now, I want to take Tyler Stewart with 42 TDs, but he has 14 INTs.
Exactly. That's why I didn't pick him. Exactly.
So I don't like that because it kind of shows that's a lot of interception. Just throwing 2 interceptions. I like Tyler. Tyler's my guy.
He's a good dude.
To throw he's getting way better. I know he's starting to get into the QB, like the QD system. Whatever he shows his posts on Instagram, it's cool. I like the way he's progressing. He's getting better. But 40 interceptions is a lot. But still, like, if he could just cut it down, he has a bunch of studs on his team, so maybe some guys on this team right now are not running the right routes. They're not understanding the thing. They're not willing to jump balls. But because I'm putting him with so many all-stars, I think his interception is going to go down a bit. So I'm going to take Tyler Stewart as my last pick as a quarterback.
Okay. All right. I mean, listen, he's solid. He's solid. I just think, like, he gives you a chance to win, but he also gives the other team a chance to win with all those INTs. But
yeah. But because I feel like I have him around a bunch of studs and guys that are going to help him out, maybe he won't even have to get into that situation where maybe he's in that red zone where he doesn't have to throw that INT for no reason.
Right. Okay, that's fair.
Also, the quarterback for Bill Thanksgiving too, right?
That's true. Okay, that's fair. Listen, great quarterback. You can't ignore the touchdowns. I mean, you can't ignore the INTs, but you definitely cannot ignore the touchdown passes he's throwing this season.
Yeah.
And he could do some
thousands.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so I have rusher left. So there was two guys I was torn between. There was Luca Chiricosta from the Pigeons. I've talked about the team a couple of times on the podcast. He's fast. He's a playmaker. He has 9 sacks, 2 INTs, 1 pick six. So I mean, that's in only 6 games. I think that's pretty impressive. But I'm gonna go with a guy who I know last season balled out. He put up some numbers. I'm looking at it this season, 12 sacks already this season. And that's gonna be Massimo Rosati from the Dirty Dogs. Yeah, he's a dude that can ball. And I remember again writing for the lower divisions last year, and I was like, yeah, this guy can play. He put up. I'm just gonna try to find his stats from last season, just to put some context behind what I'm saying. So Rosati, again, this season he has 12 sacks already. But I'm looking at his numbers. Yeah, last year with I think with the Royals, the team that really struggled offensively. Yeah, last year he had 17 sacks. And that's not the first time. He had also had 17 sacks in 2023, the spring season, and winter 2023. So 2 years ago, he had 15. So this is a guy that knows how to get after the quarterback, and is a guy that's done it repeatedly. So yeah, Massimo Rosati is a guy who I'm going to have as my last pick, and he's going to be my rusher.
Solid pick. Well, 12 sacks it means he gets to the quarterback. He's only played 5 games too as well, right? So that's also good to kind of look at because he's only played 5 games, 12 sacks, 2 sacks a game. So he does.
It's 4:00.
And we all know a sack can be a game changer. A lot of times in the game, it can switch the momentum in the game, and that's something you definitely need while you're playing, especially on all-star teams. You definitely need someone that get to the quarterbacks when you have so many ball hawks that are helping you out in defending.
Yeah.
All right, so that's our all-stars for Division 5A, 5B, where we will have that posted for you guys very shortly. We still have to post the women's 1 and then the Division 6A, 6B, and then we'll have the 5A and the 5B. But everything will be coming out fairly soon, so you guys are able to vote, and you guys could tell us if we snubbed anyone or if we didn't pick you, as I say, to prove us wrong. And so.
Yeah, go on Instagram, go on I think Facebook as well to do the vote.
Yeah, exactly. So they'll have it posted for people, and they could, if you guys want to make a discussion, me and Brent will both be gladly. We have open ears. We would love to hear it.
That's it. You can tell us we're completely wrong, we're horrible, we have no idea what we're doing, or tell us, oh my God, you guys are awesome. You guys, hopefully it's more of the latter than the former, but you guys say what you want. It's all good. Okay, so
let's jump into 6B and let's get this rolling.
All right, so 6B.
So 6B. All right, so I have it open right here. So not much has changed. We have Balls Deep that are 6-0, FC Bling 6-1, Passing TDs 5-1, Emperors 5-1, TD Blitz 4-2, Panthers 4-2, Impact 4-2. So not a much. Those things didn't really change. Bloodline 1-5, Nard Dogs 0-5, Calf 67-105, Towers 2-5, Big Assets 2-5, Cougars 2-4. So the bottom, I don't believe anything changed. I'm not sure if Bloodline got their first win this season yet, or they got it this season, the week before. So I'm gonna just double check for that. I think they got the game before. I think there was only one team that was missing a win.
Yeah, looking at it.
Bloodline. No, so they got their win 2 weeks ago, I believe.
Yeah.
Or they got it earlier on. So nothing changed for them. Um, Losing streak is still going on, but I mean, it is what it is. It happens. But yeah, so the games that happened last week, anything kind of speaks out to you? I know for me, um,
Yes,
I know for me, oh yeah, sorry, go.
No, I was gonna say no. I mean, looking at it here, right? I mean, because right now, so everything has been completed, right? So week 9 is already done for this group. So they're not one of the teams that has this division doesn't have any makeup games, I don't think. And so all the games are going to be this coming weekend. But looking at the past week, I mean, a lot of blowout games. There was only 2 games that were really close. That was Minutemen knocking off Towers FT 19-12. And other than that,
no, the rest,
yeah, that was a blow. Yeah. I know I know in the podcast we covered yesterday, we talked about obviously what happened between Balls Deep and the Bet the Over, the little skirmish that happened. We don't need to go back to that. I mean, Balls Deep 20-0 victory, whatever. But every other game was a blowout. A lot of 30 to like 12, 30 to 13 games. Yeah, it's a little odd that happened, but it is what it is.
Yeah, one of those weeks.
Yeah, I score kept the FC Bing over underachievers game Monday night in Saint Laurent. So okay, so remember, so not the last time we did this podcast talking about the men's divisions, we were talking about FC quarterback Marc Andre Senecal. So I got to see him Monday night in person. So I remember we were asking last week, is he related to U of M quarterback Jonathan Senecal? So I asked him. He goes, no, he's not related to me, but he goes, we are friends. We've worked out together because Marc Andre told me he played ball a bit in college and then he just stopped playing. I guess he kind of fell out of love with the game, whatever it happens to a lot of guys. But yeah, he is friends with Jonathan Senecal, but no, they're not related despite having the same last name. But I watched him Monday again against the over underachievers. 45 points, man. He has a strong arm. He could throw the deep ball. Part of that is over underachievers' inability to defend a deep ball, but you need a quarterback to give it, and he put it up. He did a little bit of damage with his legs, 2-3 carries, 41 yards. He's a quarterback that I think the more time he gets under his belt, I mean, he completed only 9 of 18 passes. So he completed 50% of his passes. Usually when you only have single-digit completions, it's not the greatest thing in the world, but he has a strong arm, and he kind of gets better as the game goes on. He's also a guy, looking at his history, right? He played 2017 and 2018. Then he took a lot of time off, and this is his first season back. So he hasn't played since 2018. So for a guy that's had a lot of time off, 30 touchdown passes, 7 INTs. Again, he does a bit of damage with his legs. That's pretty impressive. Again, for a guy that's essentially taken off 7 years.
Yeah, no, it's super impressive, especially when you're like, as I said, when you're gone for that long.
Yeah.
To come back 7 years later, to just start slinging it again.
Exactly.
It's nice. Okay. I actually score kept 2 games. The week 9 week. I'm just trying to pull them up. I score kept big assets. So
right.
That big assets played back to back. They played 9 and they played at they played at 7. They played at 8. So they played passing TDs. They didn't play as well. And then after they played Nard Dogs, and then they gave Nard Dogs the work. So I was actually laughing. I don't remember exactly the guy's name. I think it was Matthew Noel. I'm not sure, but so after the first game is done, he's like, he comes up to me, he's like, yo, you'll see, we're gonna start scoring points, So I'm like, oh, okay, I'll see. In my head, I'm like, you guys scored 13 points. How many more points you're gonna score? First play, bomb, they score a touchdown, then they score a touchdown. He's like, oh, you're gonna be busy tonight, because he's saying like about flipping the score the score. So I found it kind of funny. And then after they kind of started drifting away. They weren't scoring as many touchdowns. And then all of a sudden they got a pick 6, and he just looks at me, starts smiling. So I found it kind of funny. Big shout out to them, because when
Nice,
you lose
nice.
lose your first game, they lost 13-31, and then all of a sudden you win your next game, 31
Right,
31 to
right.
12. So you kind of like switch up the script, and then you get a win, and then it's a good Saturday night at the end of the day.
So I mean, the question now is, are passing TDs that good? I mean, they beat up on the Nard Dogs, right? The Nard Dogs are trying the hardest. They don't have any wins, right? The only winless team in this division. But are passing TDs as good as the 31 they put up against Nard Dogs, or are they as bad as the 31 they gave up to passing TDs, right? That's kind of the big question. They're gonna have to prove it going forward. But I do like the fact they talked a little trash. They talked the talk and they walked the walk. So credit to them. But again, they're beating up on the basement dwellers of this division. So we'll have to see what
Very
happens.
true.
They beat some better teams.
Very true.
Sorry, sticking with FC Bing for a second, talking about football, like tackle, right? This is a team of a bunch of tackle guys, and I like that. They had a dude, so as you know, right? So a lot of guys do. I don't know if they still call. I don't know if they still call it the karaoke. It's that warm up there where you're running sideways and you're kind of twisting one
Yeah.
way and getting your knees up the other. So they had a dude, 53, Simon Prejean. He was doing that for at least a good like 3 to 4 minutes, and I was like, all right, cool. And then they got this brother. They got his brother on the team, Jean-Yves O'Neal Sylvestre. This is the biggest dude I think I've seen play flag in a long time. This guy has to be a D lineman or a O lineman. This guy was about, I mean, you and I are both not the tallest guys, but this guy was about 6'4", 6'5". They had him playing corner, which was really odd, but he had a pick six in the game. And I got to tell you, he got the pick six and his sideline just erupted. And if they could have ran out to the field and all mobbed him, they would have. They'd want to get the penalty, obviously. So they waited for him to come back to the sideline. And they were just happy for him. So it was great to see. So, anyways, that's something to stick out for me in this division. I know we talked about FC being maybe a little too much now, but I was just happy to see that. Looking forward, so like I said, sorry.
Was he wearing his
Yeah,
glasses?
he's wearing the glasses too. Yeah, he had the big goggles and everything.
Yeah, okay, so they're in the shades.
Yeah. It was good to see. It was cool to see. So looking forward to this weekend. Like I said, they don't have any games until Saturday and Sunday. They got a ton of games Sunday, this division. TD Blitz, Bloodline, Minutemen against the Emperors Retraite, FC Bing against Bet the Over. So I mean, hopefully, Bet the Over can contain themselves. The FC Bing, they're a loud team. Hopefully, it's going to be just a good football game. Big assets against the Cougars. Impact the Panthers, passing TDs, over underachievers. And then Monday we got Cafe 67 and Towers FT. And then the Stables against the Nardogs to wrap up week 10. That'll be this coming Wednesday at Stady Bear.
The Panthers versus Impact is going to be a very good game. Both teams are 4-2. Yep. So it's going to be they're battling, right? There's a lot of, like, as you see in this division, it's like he's 6-0, 6-1, 5-1, 5-1, 4-2, 4-2, 4-2, 4-2, So it takes one game to drop you down to the bottom, and it takes one game to drop you a bit higher on the top, or bring you a bit higher on the top. So it's very, as I said, this division is it's going to come down to the last week, because even at the bottom you have Towers 2-5, Big Assets 2-5, Cougars 2-5, right? And then you have Bet the Over 2-4, Stables 3-4, Overachievers 3-4. So it takes one of the Cougars right now are the 12. There's 12 teams that makes the playoff jump.
Yeah.
Cougars right now are 2-4, Bet the Over 2-4, so they're right next to each other. So if Cougars win this week and then Bet the Over loses, they pretty much switch spots. They jump them, but then you have Big Assets. If they end up winning, or Towers FT ends up winning, it becomes a lot of tie breaks and stuff like that. But if this is going to come down to week 9, week 10, where teams are going to be in a playoff game week 9, week 10, they're going to realize that. Sorry, week 13, 14, because we have 14 weeks this week. This
year,
this season, teams are going to start realizing when you're in week 9 and week 13 and 14, your game is going to be a playoff game. It's not going to be. It is a regular season game, but you're going to be playing for a playoff spot to get in. So it's going to be very interesting, as we were saying from the last podcast, like how, especially in this division, especially Division 6B, because so many teams have those wins, and it's like you need that one more or two more wins to kind of secure your playoff spot, but you also need to make sure the other teams lose so they don't get a bit farther past you.
Well, that's it. Exactly.
So a lot of these, so we're week 10 right now, then we have week 11 and then 12 and then 13, 14. So coming down to week 14, there's not that many games played. So I feel like a lot of the standings are going to be kind of skewed, but the next week, 10 to 13 that's coming up, we're going to see a lot of moving, a lot of teams going up, going down. So it's going to be interesting who actually makes the dance and who doesn't.
Well, speaking of who's going to make the dance, who doesn't, one of the games is going to stand out. Well, that will stand out to me, or standing out, I should say. Pardon me. Towers FT and Cafe 67. Right, both teams are. Well, Towers are 15th and Cafe 67 is 16th right now. Towers, like I said before, 2-5 record. Cafe 67 are 1-5. Right, separated by 2 points in the standings. Both of those teams trailing Bet the Over. Bet the Over has 4 points, so they have the same amount of points as Towers FT here. I'm just looking to see if they've played each other yet this season. Have they? No, they have not. But again, the points are the reason why I'm bringing it up here. So I think the loser of this game, again, both teams are on the outside looking in right now. I think the loser of this game, their season is over. So Towers FT again, they're tied for points with Bet the Over, but they're trailing in terms of the tiebreaker. Cafe 67 are 2 points behind the final playoff spot. But I think if whoever loses this game, the hill is going to be too much to climb for them in terms of qualifying for the postseason. Because Cafe 67, it'll be their 7th game of the season when they take on Towers FT. For Towers FT, it'll then be their 8th game of the season. So I think whoever loses that is going to be on the outside looking in for good.
Yeah. Well, Cafe sits in. They lose that game, they're done. They're not going to make a playoff push. But Towers FT, if they do lose that game, right, they'll be 2-6. They play Panthers. I don't think they're going to win that game. Then they play Nardogs, so they're going to finish their season. I think they'll beat the Nardogs. I think they'll finish their season 3-7. So, as I think those teams. So any of the bottom teams that are 2-5 right now, 1-4, 1-5, they're in playoff mode right now. They all basically have 3 games left. So they're in a do or die situation where every game for them is playoffs. You win, you have a good chance coming in, and if you lose, you're pretty much out. The good thing for Towers FT is that if they could beat a Cafe 67, which is 1-5, right? So they have a good chance of winning that game. They play the Narg Dogs after, so they could technically finish. Like, I don't see them being the Panthers, but you've seen weirder things. They technically hold their playoff situation in their hands, because even if they do lose versus the Panthers, they could still finish 4-6. 4-6 is you'd rather finish 5-5 and end up strong, but 4-6 will get you in most likely at the 12th spot. Maybe it depends on the tie breaks and the points against, but it gives you a big chance to get into a playoff spot. So we'll see this coming week to see who wins that game, but it's going to be very interesting.
100%. I don't agree. I don't disagree with anything you said. I'm just thinking, if Towers FT, if they lose to Cafe 67, mathematically they're still alive. I just don't then see them.
Yeah. Well, no, they won't. They won't get in at. I don't think they'll get in at 3-7. If they end up being, Nardogs, I don't think they get in at 3-7. So I think they can afford to lose versus Panthers, but they can't afford to lose versus Cafe 67.
And my thing is, I think if they lose to Cafe 67, you know what? I think the Nardogs can knock them off as well.
Yeah, it could be a momentum, yes, which is that.
I don't think the Nardogs are going to go winless, and I have them beating Towers FT for the whole thing. But I could be wrong, but we'll see what happens.
All right, let's go to 6A.
All right. Yeah, so 6A here. So, we got a
6A. So no undefeated teams anymore. So someone lost, because I believe
it was the LVL Jack Boys. Where's the Miguel Swim team that lost? I mean, a bunch of teams have one loss, right? So I mean,
Swifty, very good. Red Zoo, LO, Jack Boys. So I think maybe last week someone lost.
Because the LVL Jack Boys, they've won 3 in a row, so it's definitely not them. So it's the McGill Swim team. I feel like the McGill Swim team, they had their loss, but they had it early in the season. But I mean, either way, it's a dogfight, right? You have LVL Jack Boys at 6-1 with 12 points, and then you have the McGill Swim team, 10 points. 90s Classics, 10 points. Chomney Chols, 10 points. Team V, 10 points, right? So I mean, that race between first and second, it's tight, right? It's pretty much there's 5 teams that are in there, right, who are all within a game of
Yeah,
each other. Pardon me, for first.
it's really tight, very very tight. I don't know who's gonna end up winning this. I don't know who's gonna come end up being first. Who's gonna have the first seeding for playoffs? Number 1 and 4 get by, right? So you kind of
Yeah, yeah,
depends how your team are. I know some teams don't like to actually get that buy. Some teams do prefer getting
mhm.
the buy. Also depends if you play on multiple teams too. Like just say for me, instance, I play on 4 teams, right? So I
Yeah.
wouldn't mind getting. I don't want to play four. I don't want to play 4 playoff games in a
No,
week. I
not at
rather
all. Not at
two
all.
two is fine, because I'm fine with two. But if you tell me you have 4 playoff games, a lot of times when that happens, you probably have back to back games too, And when you come down to it, moving forward, you end up playing more games, which is fun.
Yeah.
But I'm not the same age anymore, Like 2 games for me. Let me play a game at 9, then I'll play a game at 11. Don't let me play at 8, 9, 10, because that's happened to me before, and I was completely gassed.
Okay,
So
so you know what? So let me ask you that. So would you rather have? Okay, so I think you kind of answered actually. So you don't want to play obviously 8, 9, 10, but would you rather have a game at like 6 and then game at like 11?
no, I wouldn't have that because I would leave. I wouldn't want to come back. If I
Yeah,
have,
well,
like,
that's it.
if
Exactly,
I play
exactly.
a game at 6, right? So
Mhm.
I'm close locally to Brossard, the complex, right? So I
Yeah,
play a
yeah,
game at 6, finish at 7, right? And then I have
yeah.
to wait till 11. First of all, I'm going back home. Going at, like maybe before I probably chill, see the guys, maybe have a beer, but it's not like
don't,
that
don't
anymore. So I
don't
would go
shower, don't
home.
lie down.
Yeah, I would go home, and then let's just say when it hits around 10 o'clock, I don't think I'm getting my ass back over there. I'd be like,
Yeah,
depending on the situation, but there's good chances that if I leave, I'm not coming back.
there you go.
I'd
There you
rather
go.
play let me play at 6, let me play at 7 right away. Let me get it over with, and then I'll chill maybe for
Exactly,
an hour, and then
exactly,
I'll go get something to
exactly.
eat, and then I call it a night. But
Yeah,
okay, all right. So going back into Division 6A. So yeah, as I was saying, yeah. So everyone's pretty tight regarding the standings.
right.
This fall week 9, we didn't have any upsets. I believe. I think everyone kind of took care of business. Team V won, LVV, Jack Boys won, 90 Classics won, TD Brothers beat Bum City, and then Swift Jets won. So all the teams that were, Gold Rush and Swift Jets was the only interesting game because they were both teams that are positive records. Swift Jets won, so they're 3-3, and Gold Rush lost, so they're 4-4. So that was pretty much the only flip of a coin, I would say, who's going to win that game. Other than that, the top of the teams won, and now we're in week 10. So
Yeah,
uh,
because looking at it here, I mean, there was a couple of games last night, but yeah, you're right. Everyone pretty much week 10, like you said, is coming up this Saturday. There's the next couple of days. There's I think 6 games
yeah,
in
so
total.
two
Yeah,
games Saturday, 2 games Sunday, Monday, and then Wednesday. Interesting games that look this coming week for week 10. You have Unseen versus Red Zone Blitz. So you kind of have the bottom of the bunch. Red Zone desperately need a win here for them to
yeah,
kind of move
yeah,
the standings. You have a very good football team versus the Cream Skulls.
yeah.
Cream Skulls also need a win. They both need a win. They're both right now very good football team is 2-5. Cream Skulls is 2-3. So two teams that also need a win. The winner of each game. I think if Creamskulls do win, they'll move. Sorry, or if the very good football team wins, I think they'll move up. I think they'll bump them out.
Yeah, they were,
Uh,
yeah, because they're tied points wise for the last playoff spot, right? Queen Sickles has
yeah,
it right now, but
yeah,
they're all tied with four
yeah.
points.
So very big game for them. Swift Jets versus Vengeance. Swift Jets need a win. Vengeance. I think Swift Jets needs a win too. 3-3 is not. You don't feel as comfortable
Yeah,
being. Let's say the end of the season 3-7. You kind of want to win. And Vengeance need a win as well. They're 2-5. They need to try to start jumping up the standings.
exactly.
Um, Angry Birds versus Crescent. Those are two of the higher teams. So again, I think going down, it seems like Chamonix scumbags Every team right now, this following week, everyone wants to win. 90 Classics versus TDs. Whereas TDs are they're 2-5. Yeah, two. So yeah, this following week 10, every team needs a win here, except for 90 Classics. I think if they take a loss, I don't think it's not gonna change much for them. They're 5-1. They'll be 5-2. It's not. They're pretty much scared for a playoff spot. They're 5 wins, but the rest of the pool, they definitely all need wins here. So it's going to be a very interesting week 10 to see who wins, who doesn't win. Out of the 6 games that are played, what do you think is going to be the most interesting game?
Good question. Looking at it right here, I mean, I had a chance actually last night to see 90s Classics in action. They smoked Vengeance. JMO. I saw. I know you're asking me about the games coming up, but I just want to say JMO like uh phenomenal last. He only had he completed 7 passes. He went 7 of 13 for 78 yards, but he threw 4 TDs. So basically, he completed 7 passes. More than half of them went for a touchdown. And I just saw him. He was putting people on skates last night. He was in LaFell last night. So I had a chance. I didn't score keep his game, but his game was on field 2, so it's next to mine. My game where I was score keeping was both of them were on field 1. And just the moves and the slickness. He's one of those guys. I don't know how old he is. So obviously, him and his brother Theo, they've been in the league for a million years, and those guys, they never age. They could take about 5 years off, and they come back, and it's like, all right, yeah, they pick up exactly where they left off. And this phenomenal athletes, and at the quarterback position last night, again, he led his team to a 32-6 victory over a buddy of mine, Matt Chadwick, and his Vengeance squad. But so to answer your question in terms of the games that are coming up that stand out to me the most, I'm gonna say I'm gonna stick actually with the McGill swim team. So my buddy Keon, obviously that's his squad. So they're taking on LVL Jack Boys, right? That's gonna be like the game of the week. Unfortunately, actually
I
looking
think
at
that's
the show right now. Yeah, it's the week after. My bad. Yeah, it's the week after. My bad. I spoke a little too soon there.
I didn't see that game.
Yeah, my bad. I'm gonna go with I want to say the Chomedy Chodes and Scumbags. That's the game that stands out right now. Scumbags are 3-4, right? Chomedy Chodes are 5-1. The Scumbags have a chance to kind of leapfrog a bunch of teams. They just have a couple of teams for 6. What was 6 points? They have a chance to leapfrog and go right now from 10th, potentially all the way up to at least 7th. So I'm gonna go with that game against Scumbags and the Chomedy Chodes. Another game that kind of stands out to me a little bit right now is Angry Birds and VDB Crescent. These teams right now, looking at the standings, they're separated by only 2 points, right? VDB Crescent with 8 points. They have a 4-1 record, and Angry Birds a 3-2 record. They have 6 points. So that's a big game for both squads. Angry Birds could climb the standings. VDB Crescent can kind of jump into that mix of teams I talked about, right? Between the LVL Jack Boys, who are in first, and all the way down to 7th of the Gold Rush. So, right, if you're the Angry Birds, you have a chance to jump into that fray. If you're VDB Crescent, you have a chance to kind of jump into those top slotted teams in this division.
Yeah, that's solid. It's understandable. As I said before, all these other than 90 Classics, pretty much the only team that and Shawnee Shields too that could afford a loss here. Other teams, everyone needs a win, so it's gonna come. So it's a big week 10.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so let's go to division. Let's jump to Division 5B. Having it load up here. All right. So we still have Gooners 7-0. We have Ducks 6-0. You have Pasta Arapat
Rabiot, I think.
6-1. Yeah. 6-1. Big TD 6-1. Les Mange de Bang 4-1. Dragon McKeek 4-2, Crash Out Boys 4-2, Studs 4-2, Maccabees 4-1, Mighty Ducks 4-2, Super Punt. You have a lot of teams right now with positive records. So it kind of sucks to say it, but other than sleeping nobody, I think Chicken Little, they're done. Kicking assets done. Diddler's done. Hard Knocks done. Going out of business done. Flag Dealer's done. Mortal's done. Mama's Favorite's done. I don't think any of these guys are going to be able to make a push. Maybe Chicken Little because they only played 5 games. I've seen the Diddlers play offensive wise. Like it's easy to say it here because I'm looking at it, but I've seen them play before.
Yeah.
Not that impressive.
Yeah.
We need to change some things up. Hard Knocks, I've seen them play 1 game too. They're not as bad. I just think going down to, I don't think they'll be able to make that playoff push because they need to. They right now their Hard Knocks are 1-4. They have 5 games left. They need to win out of the 5 games. They need to win 3 more games to kind of have a playoff chance because all these teams, all these other teams that are in the playoffs right now, they all have 3 wins. So you have to have more than, and they'll lose versus the points against points for, unless they have the tie break. So you need to have at least 4 wins minimum to make playoffs for Division 5B. So it kind of sucks to say it that, but all these bottom teams right now, I'm pretty much their season's done. Hopefully it's not like that. Hopefully one team can go on a streak here and they could win the next 5 games or win the next 4 games and they have that playoff push, like Chicken Little. Chicken Little does have the tie, right? So if they do finish, right now they're 1-3-1. So if they do finish what am I doing here? They have 5 games left. So if they finish 5-4-1, that's I feel like they can make it, but that means they would have to win the next 4 games. So
that's
tough
ask.
Yeah, it's very tough, and I think I would say this is probably the hardest division to make playoffs. 25 teams, only 16 make it, and right now all the top teams have more than 3 wins. Right, they all have 6 points, and the closest per team, whatever that's not in the playoffs right now, is sleeping nobody, and so. It's interesting. You don't see that often. You don't see a lot of teams. You don't see that you need to have more than 3 wins to make playoffs. Sometimes 3 wins kind of get you in, but to make playoffs in this division, you're probably going to need at least 4 wins minimum to get in. Because sleeping nobody can sneak in here. They could get a couple. If they get an air win, they put pressure on Dirty Dog, Sourpuss, and Bullseye to get that extra win, and then it puts pressure on, no pun intended, Super Turbo, Mighty Ducks, Maccabees, Studs. It puts pressure on all these teams that have 4 wins that, okay, guys, 4 wins is not going to get us here. We need 5, And I'm not exactly sure on the schedule as completely sure, but a lot of these teams are going to be playing versus each other to a point. They are going to end up matching against each other. So, again, as we were saying, when it comes down to it, we're going to be week 10. A lot of these games are going to be playoff games, which is crazy to say in week 10, but I think it's going to come down to it. Coming down to the end, that there's going to be one team that's going to get screwed here, and I'm not sure what's going to be. It's going to be the bottom teams, right? So Demons, Dirty Dog, Sourpuss, Bullseye, Sleepy Nobody, because I don't think the other teams are going to be able to make a push. So there's going to be one spot that's going to be open up to not make playoffs, and the rest are going to make playoffs. So those let's just say, which is crazy to say, from 5 to 17. That's you're going to see a lot of teams going up and down, and then you're going to see someone end up at week 14. You're going to see someone that's going to end up dropping down to that 17th spot, and then you'll have the 16 teams locked in for playoffs.
Yeah, you're right. So I'm just looking at the schedule right here, right? I mean, like you have Chicken Littles, right? I mean, again, 1-3-1. They got the Dirty Dogs, they got the Studs, they got Gooners, Hard Knocks, and Maccabees, right, left on their schedule. I'm not sure. You don't want to count anybody out, but I mean, the chances of them getting a win, they can. I mean, it's going to be hard, right? Whereas you look at the team like Sleeping Nobodies, they have a couple of games. They have less games remaining, but they have Going Out of Business. I believe they have also Big TDs and No Pun Intended, right? So they have, well, basically have not as many chances, right, of qualifying for the postseason. Trying to make sure, did they have another game?
Going out of business is 0-4, so they should get a win there. No pun intended is 4-3, so that should be a good game. And then you said kicking TDs. I think that's one of the top. You said kicking TDs.
Big TDs, big TDs.
Big TDs. Yeah. So big TDs is one of the top seeds, right? So sleeping nobody. You got. I'm not exactly sure how you're going to play versus big TDs. They're a solid team. As we said, we made the All Stars. We have a couple players on that team.
Yeah.
They're going to have to win. Going out of business has to be a win for sure for them, and then they're going to have to get a win from, no pun intended. If they could get those 2 wins there, they'll finish. And as I said, they lose versus big TDs. They'll finish 5-5. 5-5 will get up to the dance for sure. So maybe a 4-6 could sneak you in, depending on the other teams how they play, because it's so close. With all these teams are 3-2, 3-3, 3-3, 3-4, 3-3. So it also becomes on tie breaks of who's sleeping nobody has played, right? So
that's it.
They've played the teams that they beat, actually. Sorry, so they beat Limortals, which are not in a playoff spot right now.
7.
They beat Demons, which is not in a playoff, and they beat Mama's Favor. So they beat all the bottom teams. So right now they have no tie breaks. So the tie break that they're going to need is against, no pun intended. So they take, let's just say, so they play Monday, March 10th. They take care of business there, which they should, and then they play no pun intended, which for them that's definitely going to be a playoff game where it's going to be it's going to be go big or go home, right? So you win, you're in. You lose, you're out.
Well, actually, I'm going to correct you on something. So sleeping nobody's, they beat the Demons. The Demons are a playoff team, actually.
Are they?
Yeah, the Demons right now. So they beat the Demons 26-25 back on week 8, so February 23rd. But the Demons are definitely a playoff team right now.
Okay, so yeah. All right.
No worries.
Demons are 3-2. Okay, yeah. So they get the tiebreak on the Demons if it comes to a situation where, yeah. So shout out to them. My mistake. I was thinking about a different Demons team. There's so many teams.
Yeah, there's so many teams. Yeah. So so the one thing I wanted to ask. So the only other team who has a slight chance of the playoffs right now with a 1-6-1 record. So why these ties matter? Kicking Assets. The only thing with them is they only have 2 games left. Right, as against, though, looking at the schedule, as against Pasta Arabiat right now. So Pasta Arabiat, I believe it says, so that's weird that they knocked off a strong team like that. And then the other team that they have left on their schedule is the Maccabees, I believe.
Yeah, so they played 2 of the top teams then.
Yeah, so I mean that's not looking promising for Kicking Assets. But again, if they could knock off 2 of those teams, they could potentially sneak into that last playoff spot, because again, they have 3 points. The most they could finish with are 7, so they have to pretty much win out. And
but then they have to make sure that none of the bottom teams win, right?
Yeah,
because Kicking Assets, if they win the next 2, right, they'll get extra. They'll have 7 points, right? But Sleeping Nobody should have 8 when they beat Going Out of Business. And then if Sourpuss, Dirty Dogs, Demons, any of those other teams get any other wins the next 4 games, they'll have 8. So then they get knocked out. That's why it's going to be very hard. As I was saying, it's going to be very hard for all those bottom teams to make a push, because all these teams already have 3 wins. They have 6 points. It's so hard to catch a team with 6 wins with 3-4 games left. It's so it can happen if they end up all losing, and then I've seen weirder things, but I just think right now the playoff, it's going to be between, which is crazy to say, it's going to be from the 5th team to the 17th team, where everything can kind of switch. And because those 4, and maybe not, actually, no, I'll change that. I will actually put it from the 17 to, I'll go a bit lower. I'll go 17 to 13. I'll left the 4, the teams that are 4. I'll give them, because I don't think Sleeping Nobody's gonna win more than I don't think they're gonna win. Actually, no, they could finish 5. So no, I'll put it back. I'm gonna put number 5 to 17, where you have to be careful still. You have to make sure you secure an air win to kind of get into that spot, because les Mange de Bangs, whatever, their team in Dragon Monkey. They have a tie. So they have 9. So they're pretty much safe. They get one more
Yeah.
because they're 1 point. But the rest of the teams do still they do have to still worry about the rest of their schedule.
So looking actually, well, speaking of the schedule, like looking forward to the couple of games that are coming up. There's actually a big one tonight, right? I think uh right now first place could be on the line. Well, not
Yeah,
first place,
Crash
but at least yeah. But okay, yeah, Crash Show Boys
versus
right now. So they're yeah versus Ducks, right? So you have a team that's 6-2 with 8 wins taking on the Ducks, who are 6-0, right? So I don't want to say first place is on the line, so my correction, but at least with the Ducks, I mean, right now with that 6-0 record, taking on Crash Boys, Crash Boys have a chance to at least that they could have a statement victory tonight if they can knock off the Ducks again. Why I say that is because the Ducks and the Gooners are the only two undefeated teams left. If the Crashel Boys can get the W here, they have moved them to 5-2, and at least have them potentially with a shot to at least finish within the top two or top three in the division. That game is taking place again tonight at College Saint Jean Vanny, so that's going to be a huge game coming up tonight. The Ducks are coming off with a Ducks actually coming off of a 26-24 victory over Sourpuss, right? So Sourpuss again, who are all the way 15th in the division with a 3-3 record, they came within one play of knocking off the Ducks. So this Ducks against Crash Show Boys game tonight is going to be huge, and it's not a guaranteed victory for the Ducks, even though they're sitting at 6-0.
Yeah, they
So that's
also
going to be
played.
big.
They're also playing back to back, right? They played yesterday. They
Yeah,
played yesterday, so they're
true.
playing.
That's it. Exactly. So that short
They
turnaround for them.
Yeah, they do look like a young team. I have them pulled up
Yeah,
here. It looks like a young, solid guys. So I don't think it's gonna be a problem where you're kind of banged up and you're kind of sore as much. But
but
still,
yeah,
you never know. They played a close game versus Sourpuss, which is Sourpuss record was 3 and they
3-3.
were 3 and yeah, exactly. They were 3-2 while they played them, and now they're 3-3. So it just goes to show that a team like that could have potentially made an upset there. So Crasher Boys definitely have a good chance to do it themselves.
Okay.
And with a win with 5-2, they'll secure their playoff spot as well too. They'll punch it in with a 5-2 record. Well,
That's it.
if they finish 5-5, they'll punch it in with being five
And
and five.
and
Having 5 wins.
and Crash Boys, this is a team they need to win, right? This is a team they lost to the Maccabees 31-27 their last time out. That was a couple weeks ago. They also lost to the Gooners, right, a couple weeks ago as well. So actually, well, they've only played, talking about the Crash Boys, they've only played 2 games in February. They're 0-2 in the month of February. So for them, at least February is done with, thankfully for them. They need to go back into the win column, and hopefully, I mean, we'll have to see what they start tonight against the Ducks. Looking at some of the other games that are coming up this weekend. There's a couple of big ones I think coming up this weekend for Division 5B. So we have Dragon Magique, right? They're taking on the Demons. So that's gonna be a big one. That's coming up Sunday at Stady Bear. Monday we got at College Saint Jean Vanny. We got Bullseye. So Bullseye right now, I believe they have the last playoff spot right now. Looking at the stats, they have the last playoff spot. So they're taking on Les Super Turbo Navettes, right? That's going to be actually a pretty big game as far as the standings go, because right now these teams are only separated by 2 points right now. So Bullseye 6 points, Les Super Turbo Navettes with 8. So that's going to be a really big game in terms of playoff seeding. We said before, obviously Monday night in Chateauguay, Sleepy Nobody taking on Going Out of Business. Wednesday at Stady Bear. A couple games Wednesday actually is going to be Studs, Les Mangeaux des Bains, Diddlers, Maccabees, Hard Knocks, and Mighty Ducks, Chicken Littles, Dirty Dogs. So a lot of big games coming up this Wednesday for week 10. But again, it starts Sunday night in Stady Bear with the Dragon Magic, taking on the Demons. And that game, I think, is going to be big playoff games in terms of the standing, because both teams right now are in the dance right now. But again, a loss by either or can be big, because right now Dragon Magic 7-2, 4-2. They're in 6th place, and the Demons are in 13th with a 3-2 record. But again, these teams are separated by only a couple of points in the standings.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, as we were saying from other from Division 6A, same thing with same thing with 5B, that all these games are going to matter, especially if you're in seed 5 to 17. All these games matter. All these games matter. You kind of want to get that extra win to kind of make the playoffs. You want to secure the playoff spot exactly. You don't want to be one of those teams where you're kind of where you're waiting for other team to lose to get in. Even though there's technically only one playoff spot that's gonna not one team's not gonna get. You don't want to be that team that ends up not being in, right? Because that's trust me, when you don't make playoffs, it kind of sucks, especially when you're a team that you're so close and you're like, oh, if we made playoffs, we could have made a run. You know, you don't want to be that team. You don't want to wait. You don't want to wait last minute to also make that push. You know, you kind of want to get over with now, and then you're like, okay, guys, we're 5-4. We have one more game left. We're in the playoffs now. We kind of can see what we need and where we're gonna seed.
Yeah.
As for a playoff breakdown, there's no buys, right? So also you don't technically want to be that 16 seed as well, right? Because then you end up playing the top seed. You kind of want to be between the middle because sorry.
You want to climb the standings basically before the playoffs start.
You don't want to play a Gooners. You don't want to play a Ducks. You don't want to play a Pasta. You kind of big TDs. You maybe want to avoid that for a first round. Get in between the 10, the 10-9, you know, play versus a 9 versus 8 matchup, a 10 versus 7, something like that, where it's a winnable game and you feel more confident. And instead of playing a team that's 9-0, 9-1, or 10-0, you know, that's the last thing you want to do in the first round. Like, I mean, yeah, you'll be happy that you're in the playoffs, but you still want to make sure that you're able to make it to the next round because for the guys that are new into this league, or for the guys that never made playoffs before, or the guys that never win a playoff game before, winning a playoff game, it feels good. You know, you get to the field. It doesn't matter if you're the lower seed or the higher seed. You win, and then you're like, okay, I get to play flag for next week. Because one thing a lot of guys are going to start realizing is that when playoffs do happen and you're not in the playoffs, that sucks because there's no more flag for you. But when you're in the playoffs and you lose the first round of the playoffs, it's done. You know, you have to wait to the next season. So it's not as fun. You know, you don't get to see all your friends on the Saturday or the Sunday. You also don't get to play flag. You know, like, well, I mean, unless you play elsewhere, but you don't get to play flag until the next season as well, right? So it's something.
Definitely. I mean, we sign up, we pay our money to, you know, have some fun on that, but you're trying to win, right? You're trying to win, you're trying to get to the dance, and no matter when you lose, it sucks, especially if one and done. Like, having that on your resume is not the greatest thing. It's better than not making the playoffs, but it's almost like you didn't make the playoffs when you one and done. Because by the time you get to the finals, you kind of forget. Like, I mean, the first round of the playoffs seems like a decade ago.
Yeah.
You know, as it goes on, right? So yeah.
It's also so much more games. It's they have 16, so you play extra 4 more games. You know, as we said,
exactly.
You know, for this league, it's not guaranteed to make playoffs. Like, you're guaranteed 10 games max. You know, everything after that is bonus.
It's bonus, exactly. It's like icing on the cake after that, man. Exactly.
So
I hear you.
Enjoy the bonus when you have it.
There you go. All
right,
so let's hop over to Division 4B right now.
5A.
5A, my bad. Yeah, you're 5A. Sure, you're right. 5A. Got a little ahead of myself there.
No,
all right, so 5A. Looking at the standings right now, we have. So I was waiting for it to come up on the screen. I don't know if you have it on yours. Yep.
So you have No Flags Given 8-1, Old Patch 6-1, Defined Devils 6-0, Reborn Prospects 5-3, Pigeons 4-2, Michans 4-3, Salt and Pepper 4-2, Tune Squad 4-2, Baby Sharks 4-2. 4-2, Ice Up, Pump 3. Then you have Hard 3, Ambush 3, Max Mambas 3, Super Troopers 3, and Thunder Buddies 2-2. And then looking out the playoffs, you have Freshmen 2-4, Underdogs 2-4, Deep Shots 2-4. Then you have the bottom of the bunch: Orange Crush 1-5, Vin City 1-5, Texas Whales 1-5, and Brewers 1-5. And then you have the LS Tigers that are 0-6 that need a win somehow before the season ends. Very interesting also as well. Regarding playoffs again, right? It's still everyone's still in reach. Everyone's still in reach. It takes one win for Deep Shots, Underdogs, and Freshmen to kind of make that playoff push to get into the green. Because right now they're in the red. 16 teams make playoffs, and they are 24. So one more win from any of these teams there, and then just you need other teams to start losing. Going down the schedule, for 5.
So there's technically only one team that's still undefeated, right? The Fina Devils at 6-0 right now. So props to them. I mean, they're technically not the first, but I mean they have a chance. They actually have a big game coming up this Monday against the Pigeons. I'm actually looking forward to that game. It's going to be in Chateauguay, right at 10 p.m. Two teams right there with speed, tons of speed on your side. Talking again about the Pigeons and the Fina Devils. That's going to be my pick for game of the week, just because I've seen the Pigeons plenty of times, not just this season but in seasons past. That's a team. They have a strong core, and that's another team that's built around speed and playmaking. So I'm really looking forward to that game coming up.
Mhm.
Um, I'm just trying to look at the rest of the schedule here. 4, 5, A this week. So again, we talked about that game. I'm just trying to see if there's any other games coming up tonight. I don't think so. Yeah, here it is right in front of me. My bad. There actually is a game coming up tonight. So yeah, Baby Sharks and Salt and Pepper. That's gonna be a big game. That's gonna be a Statty Bears again. One of those makeup games coming up. That's going to be again coming up tonight, right? So, looking at it, right, Salsa and Pepper right now, 4-2 record. They're sitting in seventh. The Baby Sharks also a 4-2 record. So technically, they're all pretty much tied for actually well for 5, 6, and sevens. So again. That's gonna be a big game coming up tonight. Whoever wins that game is gonna leapfrog the other in the standings. Right? Whoever wins that game actually potentially is gonna jump all the way in to have sole possession actually of fifth, and it actually be tied with the Reborn Prospects for fourth, because Reborn Prospects have a 5-3 record, so they have 10 points. So the winner of this Baby Sharks and Salt and Pepper game is going to be jumped from that kind of glut of teams, and they're going to be tied with Reborn Prospects for fourth place. So that's going to be a huge game going on tonight.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, that's gonna be, and that's gonna end the week 9, right? And then
Yeah,
we jump into week 10, where, to be honest with you, how it's looking, deep shots underdog freshman, right? So freshman's playing ball so hard, so that's a big game for freshmen. Deep shots playing salt and pepper, so that's a big game for them. And then you have
Defeating Devils, Pigeons, Pump and Dump and Ambush, another big game coming up this weekend too.
yeah. So I'm looking more at the bottom teams, right? Because
Yep.
ambush, yeah, ambush is a very big game because they're 3-3. Because it's kind of crazy to say it, but the fact that a lot of these teams, the freshman underdogs, deep shots could end up, if they end up winning one more game, especially week 10, if so they win their week 10 game, they could jump they could jump the teams right now, pump and dump, ball so hard, ambush, mix mambas. They could jump those teams and get into a playoff spot and bring them into the red, you know? So it's gonna be very interesting how the week 10 unfolds. I'm interesting how who's gonna win, who's gonna lose, because going into week as again going into week 11 playoffs, every game is basically gonna you're not a lot of teams are gonna realize that every game is technically gonna be a playoff game for you, even though it's a regular season game. It's gonna come down to the final stretch, right? And we're in the
Yeah,
final stretch
yeah.
now. So guys, you should be in playoff mode right now, especially if you're at the bottom of the bunch of teams. Because before you even know it, if you decide to lose one or two games, if you have some guys that are missing, you don't get the right subs to fill in for them. Like you lose those games that you should win, and all of a sudden you were in 13th spot, looking nice and well, and all of a sudden you drop down to 19th, then you don't know what the hell just happened.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's it. Uh, so I was looking at it here. Sorry, my bad. So another game too, that's jumping out to me. So Monday night, pardon me, Monday night at Saint Jean Veni, it's gonna be so Old Pats again. We talked about the Old Pats. They're one of the top teams in the division. They're taking on the Thunder Buddies. So the Thunder Buddies, they're coming off of a tough loss last Tuesday to the Defina Devils, right? So again, Defina Devils, again, keeping their winning ways alive with a 33-26 victory over the Thunder Buddies. But the Thunder Buddies are a strong team. They're coming off a loss. So they had a big loss a couple of weeks ago to the Reborn Prospects. They have a tie against Thunder Buddies. They've knocked off LS Tigers. They knocked off Freshman XL. So when wins over some of the easier teams. But again, coming in just losing by a touchdown pretty much to the Fina Devils. So now they take on the Old Pass. So the schedule does them no favors talking about the Thunder Buddies, of course. But again, they at least showed that they can hang tough with the Fina Devils. So now up next is the Old Pats. Thunder Buddies are right now, right? They're hanging on to that last playoff spot. They have the 1 point edge, 5 points to 4 over freshman XL and the underdogs and deep shots. But again, Thunder Buddies, a tough loss, but they have a chance now to kind of get some separation from that last playoff spot to kind of climb the rankings a little bit. But again, they have to go through the old pass to do so. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that one. But again, a tight loss to a really good defeated doubles team. I'm wondering right now if the Thunder Buddies could carry that momentum over against the old pass. What do you think is going to happen in that game?
Sorry, 1 second.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be. Yeah, sorry, no. I think it's gonna be interesting. For the Thunder Buddies, Terry is the quarterback, right?
Yep. Terry
Yeah. So Terry's the quarterback. So it's a veteran quarterback. I like Terry as quarterback. So I just want to make sure. I know I saw his stats a bit from when we did it. We talked about them a few weeks ago. I think it's gonna be a good game. I just don't think they're gonna be able to keep up with the old Pats.
Okay.
I don't think they'll be able to keep up with them. I think it's gonna be a good game, but I think the old Pats are gonna win by double digits here.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to the old Pats. I don't think Thunder Buddies are gonna be able to keep up with them. I think it's gonna be close. I think it's gonna be. I'm gonna give 40-30 for old Pats.
Okay. So you have them losing there. I'm just looking at the Thunder Buddies in general. So again, their schedule is tough right now. Again, they had Reborn Prospects, that was a blowout. Lost a tough one, like I said, Defeated Devils. They have the old Pass coming up Monday, but after that, right, they have Super Troopers, another veteran squad. I think that's going to be a really big game. That's coming up week 11. From there, they go on to Orange Crush, Pigeons, and then Deep Shots to finish off the regular season, right? For the Thunder Buddies. So again, this is the team. They had that last playoff spot, right? They're 1 point up on Freshman XL. They knocked off Freshman XL earlier in the season, but again, now you move forward to this week, right? They're 1 point up on Freshman XL. So my question to you is, do you think Thunder Buddies are going to be able to hang on to that last playoff spot? Because again, the next couple of weeks, they have Deep Shots, they have Orange Crush. Those are two teams who are trailing them in the standings, but not by a lot. Do you think the Thunder Buddies are going to be able to hang on to that last playoff spot going forward?
I think they will. If they're able to take care of business with Deep Shots and Orange Crush, that gives them 2 extra wins.
Okay.
Then they play. They also have the Pigeons, right? The Pigeons are.
That's gonna be a tough matchup.
Pigeons are one of the top teams, so that's going to be a very good game for them. And then they have Super Troopers as well, which Super Troopers are.
They're 1 point up. They're 1 point up.
Yeah, they went off them too, right?
Yeah.
So I think Thunder Buddies have to take care of business with Orange Crush and Deep Shots. Make sure they get a win there, and then they probably, if they want to feel more comfortable, get an upset against either Super Troopers or Pigeons, because I don't think they're going to beat the old Pats. I don't think they're going to beat the old Pats, so I think that's a loss for them there. But I think they do have they have a very good chance versus Orange Crush and Deep Shots, and then I think they could probably get a upset against Pigeons or Super Troopers. So they could finish the season with the next. They could get in there 3 more wins there, and they could finish their season 5-4-1.
Okay.
A very good start into Division A playoffs. In the middle, they should be in the middle of the pack with a win like that, or having the wins that I just said.
Okay. All right. You want to jump up to 4B now, or anything else you want to wrap up there? Okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, so looking at 4B right here, so waiting for the schedule to pop up. The schedule to pop up right now. So 4B, for the remainder of this week, I think they are there's one game. So a Friday game actually for 4B.
Friday game. Yeah. You don't see that often.
Team Texas Chattagay Community College. So that's the one game remaining for this week in the action here in 4B.
Okay.
Yeah, so that'll wrap up week 9 tomorrow night in
the week 9. Okay, so looking forward after that, you have Notorious Wales, Game of Thrones, Notorious Wales versus Game of Thrones, Slippery Slopes versus Community Challenge, Moguls versus Hooligans, Black Vipers Black Vipers versus the West Island Boys. So that's going to be coming up for week 10, and then following from the week 9 games that were kind of interesting that kind of made not really a push, but some games that are kind of looking at. Community College, Chattagee Community College lost a tough one, 33-32. So that sucks for them. They also played at Chattagee, so some home field advantage that almost got them, almost got them the win that they needed. So that's unfortunate. It would have been nice for them to get a win, earlier better, not to wait too late in the season to get their first win.
Yeah.
We had did the Black Vipers play? No, we did Team Sexy. So where am I looking at? So Team Sexy gets an arrow win here. So they finished now. They're 4-1, making them a bit closer to make to get into the first spot for the first place for the standings, because they only played 5 games, so they still have 5 games left. As other than the chosen ones where they already played 9 games, they're 5-3-1, but they sit in the 2 seed, right? So they're probably most likely, let's say they do finish 6-3-1, they're probably going to get bumped out from one of these Team Sexy, Raw Sauce, Black Vipers. They're probably going to end up finishing it with a 7-win record at least. We still have Wen Diesel. That's the top of the chain right now. They haven't played. They haven't played in a while, actually. They haven't played week 7. They haven't played week 8. They haven't played week 9. They don't play week 10. They play week 11 versus Snow Dally Degens.
Yeah,
so they have a big break, but then they end up playing versus a weak Snowdown Deli Degens. So they should take care of business with that. But we'll talk about that in week 11. Coming down to it, so the teams that are looking out right now, you have Mofos, Parley, Tiddler, Two Army, and Snowdell. Everyone still has a good chance to make playoffs here. It takes one win to kind of make that jump into the green. The green meaning you're in a playoff spot.
Yep.
So it's going to be very interesting. That's what one thing I actually love about when it comes down closer to the season, when you get to the week 10, week 11, week 12, week 13, because we have 14 weeks this year, just to show like how much 1 week or 2 weeks could change, right? So we don't have that many games this week. We only have 4 games. We only have 4 week 10. There's only 4 games in this division. But with the 4 games, if Mofos could get a win, they play the Hooligans. If Mofos could get a win, they can make a big jump here. Slippery Slopes. If they get a win,
it's 5 o'clock.
If they can get a win, they also get a big jump. Community College, if they get a win, they'll actually have a win. So pretty nice for them. And then Black Vipers, that's actually crazy. They actually play their last game March 10th. After they don't play for like a month and a half. That's going to be a crazy. That's going to be very weird for them because they literally. Oh, sorry, no, wrong person. I thought it was the chosen ones. Right? Sorry. Wrong team. Reverse what I said. Black Vipers, if they actually win too, I mean, they will secured. If they win, they kind of secured a better spot to finish in the 2 seed, since the chosen one already played the 9 games, so it's going to help them. So even though there's not that many games for week 10, there's still a lot of stuff that's going to be changing the standings a bit. Other than that, there's not much to really talk about. Some games that did happen during week 9. There's actually, I think it's the Raptors. Is it the Raptors that I know? Field 2, Division B. I'm just trying to give a shout out to a team. I'm not sure. No. It wasn't Division. It was 4A. So when we get to 4A, I'll give them a shout out. Other than that, is there anything that's interesting to you? I know when Diesel's a team that we talk about, but they haven't played in a while, so there's not really much to talk about.
I mean, I'm just looking at the point totals right now. Like, so the last week, I mean, yeah, Team Sexy dropped a 40 burger on the Hooligans. You have Case of 12, they dropped a 40 burger and a 39 victory over Chosen One. So that game was clearly a shootout between those two teams. You had a couple teams that flirted with 40, right? You have Le Tondeses, 36, 19 victory over Snowden Deli Deegans. You had the Mofos, 34, 12 win over the Rafkins. I was looking at that Chosen Ones in case of 12 or Casted 12 game, looking to see how that one ended. So that was actually a shootout. Like I said, both teams dropping 25 points on each other in the second half. The difference was the 18 to 14 first half margin that or total, I should say, that the case of 12 put on the Chosen Ones. That also came down to conversions. So surprisingly, the team that had the more conversions or most conversions in that game were the Chosen Ones. They actually lost that, even though they had 2 conversions to 1 compared to their opponents, but the team only scored 1 conversion and ended up winning that game. Shout out to Guillaume Boulanger, 306 yards and 7 TD passes on 22 of 34 passing. So he had a monster game. Samuel Quentin had 6 receptions for 62 yards and 3 TDs. So he definitely did his part. For the Chosen Ones, they had Wes Sanders, obviously, buddy of ours, at quarterback. They had Terrence Brown, 6 receptions, 49 yards, 3 TDs, unfortunately for him, in a losing cause. I'm just trying to see how that game ended, just looking at the play-by-play here. That game pretty much came down to, a 7-yard touchdown pass on the final play of the game from Guillaume Boulanger to Theo Cliche. So a 7-yard TD pass on the last play of the game. So heartbreak there for the Chosen Ones. They came within literally one play of getting the W, but you got to play the full. I think it's 40. Is it 42 minutes still? Well, now, I mean, who knows now with the extra time, or 44?
20. It's a bit less than that. I think they changed. I think it's like 20 something, and then you have 2 minutes of time.
Okay, so yeah, it's 22 minutes perhaps. Yeah, 44 minutes, and then you have the extra the pro clock, but I mean it's not running. It doesn't run if
it's not running. Yeah, it stops.
Minutes. Yeah. So anyways, so it's a lot of time in the game, and again, so heartbreak there for the Chosen Ones. So yeah, looking forward. There's only 4 games coming up this week. There's one Saturday, there's 2 Sunday, and 1 Monday. But that one Monday match with the Black Vipers and the West Island Boys, actually, I'll be scorekeeping that game in Saint Laurent on Monday. So I'll be looking forward to checking that game out. So shortage of games, but it doesn't mean it's lacking in quality. 4 games coming up this coming week for week 10, but they're all going to matter in terms of the playoff race. And again, Chattagat Community College, not going to make the playoffs most likely, but again, looking for the first W of the season. They're up tight against Slippery Slope. So best of luck to Chattagat Community College as they try to get their first W of the season. Hopefully, if it doesn't happen this week, hopefully it happens before they run out of time. So I think that'll pretty much do it, I guess, for 4B.
A little 4A.
All right, let's hop over to 4A quickly over here. We're over the hour and a half mark of this episode, so we gotta speed things up a little bit here. So 4A, looking at the schedule coming up in terms of games, there's one game happening tonight down in Saint Laurent, so I will be there for that game. It's Kung Pao taking on Balls Deep, and the final game to wrap up week 9 will be tomorrow. It's going to be Mangoose taking on Voodoo. So again, looking at the standings right now, all 12 teams qualify for the playoffs in this division. Sorry, 12 teams qualify. There's 19 teams in all. So right now, Voodoo, again, right now they're 1-5, only with 2 points. I don't like their chances of qualifying for the postseason. They have a shot, but again, with 4 games remaining, they're going to have to win out and get some help, right? They're chasing the Nighthawks, who have the last playoff spot. They're tied with the Bandits. They're tied with the
I don't see Voodoo making that. Sorry to cut you off there. I don't see Voodoo making a playoff spot here. I don't think CR, Bombers, Blue Balls, Voodoo, Ball Don't Lie. I think they're too far behind the teams that can end up finishing 4 and 6, they're too far behind. They're kind of in a situation. Trap Stars, Rico Riders, Sun Guns, if they don't start winning games, they're going to be in trouble. Sun Guns not as much because they're not in a bad spot.
Yeah.
Voodoo's pretty much
Yeah, I think they're done. Yeah, so it looks like Compound and Balls Deep, right? Balls Deep right now they have 10 points. They're 5-1, so they're tied for second. Compound, they're not far behind, right? They're 4-1, so there's 2 points separating these two teams, and again they do battle tomorrow. Actually, no, so I'm wrong. So, actually, no, Compound Balls Deep, Compound Balls. Yeah, they do battle tomorrow, like I said.
Tonight.
It's Sadie Fair.
Balls Compound and Balls Deep play tonight.
So tonight, my bad. So yeah, tonight is still around. Sorry, my bad. So that's gonna be a big game in terms of the playoff standings. Looking forward to the next couple of games. We already talked about the game tomorrow night. A bunch of games coming up this weekend. Penetrators, Kill Race Saturday. Sunday, there's Balls Deep again. They're back in action, so they're taking on Voodoo. So that's probably, I think, unfortunately, it's going to be ECW for Balls Deep. But again, feel free, Voodoo, to prove me wrong. Rico Riders and Goons to wrap up the Sunday games. And then Monday, you have Speed Academy, Mengoose, CRA, Balls Don't Lie. And then Wednesday, Sleeping All Stars against Smoking Guns. And in the process, against Kung Pao. So a lot of games coming up starting tonight and going forward all the way to next Wednesday. So I'm really looking forward to a lot of the games coming up here for this.
It's gonna be very interesting. I just want to give a shout out to Sleeping All Stars.
Yep.
They're saying, why don't you ever choose us? We're gonna win it all. Because I made a prediction and I didn't predict them to win it all, and they end up losing versus Speed Academy. So I just want to say to Sleeping Stars, before you start talking to me and telling me, I need you guys to win, I need you guys to first of all win a game while I'm watching you guys play, because I actually did watch that game play. You guys didn't have all your players, I don't think so, but even at that, get the W's and then talk to me, especially if I'm watching you guys play. You guys need to win in front of me, so I could be like, I could put some confidence in you guys and say you guys are going to win Division 4A championships. But before that, I can't really rephrase what I said. I just wanted to give a shout out to you. But yeah, we can. Sorry, go.
Okay, as I said, I want to give a shout out quick to the Balls team, my buddy quarterback Justin Weir. Sorry. Never afraid to use his legs. He loves using his legs. He likes talking some trash. He led all players this week with 62 yards rushing in their game. So yeah, just shout out to him and what they're doing with Balls Deep. Just trying to see who their last game was against. Balls Deep. Yeah, they knocked off the Rico Riders.
Yeah, they just played on Tuesday, I think it was.
Yeah, and that's so again. So a lot of these guys play on my team, guys from Balls Deep. So again, we've had a lot of experience with the Rico. With the is it the Rico Riders? Yeah, with the Rico Riders. So with Rico Riders, they had a tight one against the Killer Race, 43-37, and they turned around and get smoked 30-6 by Balls Deep. So again, shout out to my buddy Justin. And again, it's a team we played a lot over the last couple of years in the Rico Riders. I'm not surprised that the Rico Riders only put up 6 points, but that's credit to the Balls Deep defense led by my boy, my two guys, Richie Mondesir and Matt Peacock, who Matt Peacock picked off Mathiana Colias or Liana Colias, either or, pardon me, in that game. So yeah, a bit of a surprising turnout. You put up 40 points in one game, then you only score 6 in the other. But I mean, that's what happens sometimes, unfortunately.
All right, let's move to Division 3.
Yes, sir. So Div 3, so I was doing it today. So there's a couple of games going on tonight. So the Stoics against Arush. That's going to be a big one at Heat Stady Bear. And also the Bruins taking on Fourth and Schlong. So Fourth and Schlong is kind of a combination of that team and the Rico Riders. So the two games going on tonight. There's a couple of big games going on tomorrow at Stady Bear. It's going to be Le Verge Fall against the Underwags. And then Flag Fools 2.0 taking on the Junkyard Dog. So a lot of big games coming up over the next 2 days, starting tonight in Division 3.
Question for you in this division, right? Yep. So just to kind of get out the way. So right now you have the bottom teams, you have the top teams, and you have the middle teams, right? Yeah. Do you think you make playoffs with 3 wins in this division, or do you think you need at least a 4 win here?
So that's a good question, man. I mean, right now, the only winless team, Big Fat Bats, 0-6. So I want to say, unfortunately, I think their season is done. So you have Flag Fools 2.0, right? They're 1-4 as our Prodigy. They have 2 points. Also, Les Malouds. They had Les Malouds. I was watching them actually Monday night taking on the Bullies. That one, I believe it went down to the wire. I could be mistaken. I know there was it was 31-26, a bit of controversy. I know the Malouds felt like they didn't get a call at the end that they should have. Les Malus literally came up from one play of winning that game against the Bullies, and how that impacts them. Like I said, right now, Les Malus sitting, looking at the standings right now, yeah, so they have one win, right? So that's huge. So to answer your question, I think it's going to take, to make sure you solidify that playoff spot, I'm going to say really 4 wins, 100%. 3 wins, I think. Mm, yeah, you know what I'm gonna say. I want to say 3 wins. 3 wins will get you in. I think I want to say 75%. I want to say 3 wins will get you into the dance. And I'm only saying that because right now the team with the last playoff spot is too easy for us. They're sitting at 2 and 6. They have 4 points, but then there's also Super Daddies with 4 points and Nomads with 4 points. So I'm gonna
Yeah,
say, yeah. You know what?
I
You know what?
just think
Four,
this
four, four, four will get you.
four because my issue is like with Flag Fools that are 2.0 and Prodigy that are 1-4. Sorry, 1-4, 1-4.
Yeah,
Even if they make that bump right and they win those 3 games or they win 3 games right, I think
yeah.
that's some max games they'll win. So they'll finish 3-7, 3-7. I
Right.
don't see other teams making more than 3 wins, especially for those things. And then super too easy for you, Nomads and Super, they already have the 2 wins. So I feel like if they do have the three, I think it's going to be enough. I think it'll be a point. It's going to be a tiebreak situation where they're going to take head to head and then points against. But I think
Okay.
3 is going to be just enough because I don't think Flag Fools and Prodigy are going to be able to make those. Going to be able to make that jump of winning at your uh, 3 games.
Right.
Since they're 1-4, 1-4, they have 5 games left each. I think they'll probably at best they win 2 games out of the 5. So
Okay, you know
I
what?
don't
Okay, you
think.
know what? Okay, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go back on what I said. I'm gonna say 3 wins, and I'm gonna say, you know what? I'm gonna call it right here. I think Les Malus are gonna get that last playoff spot because, again, they showed me something against the Bullies, and Les Malus. Okay, so they take on Never Overtime. That's gonna be their next game coming up. I believe it's gonna be next Monday. But then after that, they have Prodigy and they have Nomads. So I think Les Malus are going to sneak into the playoffs with 3 wins. And so, yeah, to answer your question, yeah, I think 3 wins will be enough to get you into the dance.
Something interesting about Les Manuts is that when I was playing Division 3 a couple seasons ago, they were one of the top seeds. They
Yeah,
would usually have a
100%.
season four,
100%.
4-6,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that they're 1-6 and they're struggling, and I don't
Yeah.
want to. I'm not trying to diss. I don't want to give. I don't want to say Division 3 has gotten worse or it's gotten better, but I feel like the competition Division 3 is kind of the same regarding how it was
Yeah.
like two winters ago or whatever
Yeah.
when I was in it with the Brotherhood and stuff. But I feel like it's around the same talent wise. So the fact that they're struggling so much, I'm not sure. I know they have had a little couple players that are not there anymore. But the fact that they're 1-6 and they're not one of the top seeds or at least in the middle of the seeds is really surprising.
No, 100%. Listen, I remember the first year Les Malus came into the league. I was playing Division 3. And I remember that was a team, they were athletic as heck and they were tough to beat. I remember the first time playing them. I don't remember what the score was. This is a zillion years ago, but I remember playing against them in the Concordia Dome. Hopefully that comes back next season. They were, it was always a dogfight playing those teams, and that's one of those teams who, when I think of Les Malus, it's always a tough physical team that will get in your face and they can score some points and they
Yeah,
can stop you from scoring points. And yeah, I'm surprised as well. Like, speaking to your point, I'm really surprised that they're struggling as much as they have, considering it's pretty much the same core players for Les Malus. I'm just looking at it right here. Like, they've had a lot of the same core in their lineup, and I'm talking about guys like I think they have Anthony Beauchamp Freza. They added a couple guys over the last couple years, and but it's pretty much been the same team. Like, I'm looking at guys like Marc Andre Paradis, I believe is one of those guys that have been around for a while. Louis Philippe Paquette, if I'm not mistaken. So a lot of the same names over the last couple of seasons. I'm just surprised that they struggle, but again, I do think they will get their act together and get into the dance. And you know what? Speaking of wins, you know what? I want to call right here. They don't play each other until I think it's next Monday, Never Overtime, and Les Maluds. I'm calling the upset right here. I'm calling that Les Maluds will knock off Never Overtime,
all right, you heard it here first.
and making
I,
that 4 wins for Les Maluds to get into the dance.
Good then. I just want to also give a shout out before we get into Division Two to Idaho Ida Pimps for keeping their perfect record right now. They're 7-0. They're kind of basically showing the division that they're in charge. So I just want to give a shout out to them to kind of just say something a little bit about them. Impressive record, to be honest. Before the season even started, I figured the fact that they lost the Tier 2 championship. Oh, well, they kind of have around the same roster, but around a core, I'm not surprised that they're well, I'm kind of surprised that they're 7-0, but I'm not surprised that they're doing as well as they're doing right
now. Okay, yeah, I mean it's still the same core, right? Like Brady Hannison, his name is, he when he's there, he always puts together a great team. Props to him. You know what? So again, 7-0 record. Lever's full, right? They're 5-0, and I feel like I don't want to say they're getting slept on, because I mean they're not. They have a lot of talented players on the team, but I'm looking at the roster with the exception of Guillaume Ballon, obviously of formerly McGill, and obviously of Braves fame. None of the other guys on their team, like at least looking at their ratings, there's no one really above like 75, right, on that squad, except for well, they have Carl Benola, but defensively he's a 68, offensively he's a 78, but no one's really above 75 on both sides of the ball besides Guillaume. And I feel like the fact that they're 5-0 right now, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, very impressive. But I'm pretty sure they have a lot of guys that have background tackle.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, because I said I played with blue chips against these guys, and they were physical. I forgot the guy. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, and they had a defender. He's the tallest guy on their picture. He's to the far right side.
Yeah, I see it.
And he pressed. Yeah. He gave me a physical press, like he knew what he was doing. And this guy was maybe 6'3", 6'4", and I'm not the tallest guy, So if you get hands on me, I'm shifty. But if you get a good stunt hands, and I'm not thinking I'm gonna get pressed, you're gonna hold me down, right? And Sanders was kind of feeding me the ball a lot, so he was getting a lot of hands on me here. But back to their thing on the roster, I'm pretty sure they have a lot of active, not active, but they have a lot of background tackle guys here that know how to play defense and know how to catch the ball and stuff like that. So it is impressive that they are 5-0 right now. But when you have a background of guys that play football that just never played maybe in the league or are as one, it's kind of it's easier to kind of have a better record, because when you play versus teams, they're really they're surprised to see that these guys could ball out the way that they do.
Yeah, no, definitely, and especially because like some guys come straight for tackle. Like I know for myself, I know it took me a couple of seasons to kind of get my footing in flag, because it's a completely different game. And so credit to these guys. I want to say I think the guy you're talking about might be Philippe Lemieux. I'm not sure if that's who it is in terms of the tallest guy in that far right.
I think he played on the Alouettes too or something. He was wearing Alouettes gear too. So
that definitely helps. Yeah. That definitely helps.
Yeah.
When you're on the field, if you have some CFL experience.
Yeah, for sure. Question for you before we wrap up Division 3. Right now, if we were gonna made a wager, right? What team out of all the teams, who are you giving the championship to as right now?
Ooh. Oh, that's a good question. I want to say, I mean, it's easy to say Idaho Ida Pimps, because I do think they are the best team top to bottom in the division. But I mean, there's a lot of quality teams that could pull off an upset. I'm gonna say and backfield penetration is obviously in the mix, like we talked about on the podcast we put out yesterday. It all depends on what Barra you get. Speaking of Alessandro Barazzoni, 34 touchdowns, 5 INTs, but he is he is essentially he's like that Geno Smith / Baker Mayfield. He could throw for like 5 TDs and no INTs, but then he could also throw for like 3 INTs or 4 in a game. And again, great guy. I'm not trying to throw any shade on him because he is a good quarterback, but it's never consistent greatness that you get out of him. I'm gonna say, you know what? I hate being a homer. I hate rolling with the top team, but I'm gonna say it's gonna be Idaho Ida Pimps. I think that's gonna be my pick. Who's gonna win it all? Because again, Brady as their quarterback, but you could even throw in a guy. You could have. I think can Simon Deschamps throw in this division? I'm not sure if he can. I think he can actually. Yeah, yeah. So you have him. You have Marvin. You have playmakers at every level of that team. I think receivers in terms of guys they have in starting lineup. I want to say they have the top group of receivers in Division 3. Not throwing shit at anybody else. I'm just saying from receiver 1 all the way to receiver 5. I think they have the best receivers in the division from top to bottom.
Okay. All right. So my pick is I would take the Stoics.
The Stoics, okay, nice. Okay.
The reason, well, they have a solid roster going around. They're young. Yep. They have young legs. I'm gonna think that Alexis Dubois calls the defense, so they have a veteran defensive person there.
Yeah.
If James Drysdale gets his games played, so right now he has 2. If he gets his 3 games played, I think that would probably be the top core as receivers. With Emerson on that team, you have Noah. You just have so many young bodies where you have guys that could just catch the ball and just score, right? And that's something where a lot of teams that you don't have. And then you have a veteran Chris throwing to these guys where he's played Division 2, where he's had seasons where he went 7-3. So the fact that he's playing in Division 3 right now is kind of funny because he's way better than Division 3 quarterback. So I think this is going to be his last season playing in Division 3. So I think this is his last chance to end up winning a championship with a very young core but athletic team.
I like that pick. But obviously I know Emerson, great player. Emile. So actually, shout out to Emile Gregoire. He actually just signed. He's signing a deal to play for the Ottawa GG. So he's done with his Champlain Cavaliers career. Him and there's another guy, I don't think he plays FPF, PJ Federic. So both those guys signing with the Ottawa GGs this week. So congrats to them on making that jump to university and youth sports football. Obviously, they have Justin Swinahan, they have Noah Swinahan. And you're right. I mean, I've known Chris for a long time. I've played against Chris a bunch of times. I've worked with Chris before too. And Alexi is a good defensive play caller. He knows what he's doing. I think there's too many if, ands, or buts though, right? James, I know. So Drysdale, apparently he's speaking to Anthony Drysdale on Monday, he was filling in as a scorekeeper in Saint Laurent. He was saying, obviously, James, speaking of their team, obviously, Division 1 and Division 2. So he said James is going to be back now. He's going to be ready to play. Again, he's only played 2 games for the squad. He's arguably one of the top 5, if not the best player in all of FPF, speaking of James Drysdale. So if he gets games played, that's going to be, to have to fly to qualify for the playoffs, that's going to be huge for the squad. I just think when it comes down to quarterback, and I like Chris, he's a great dude. We always talk football, me and him, we chop it up all the time, and especially a lot of the great media stuff he does for our league. I'm choosing Brady as a quarterback over Chris Rivet. Chris Rivet has more experience, but I think Brady's a better quarterback, and I don't think it's even close between him and Chris. So that's why I'm choosing Idaho and either Pimps. It's my choice to make the championship, at least to make the championship game.
Okay. Also something to just talk about really fast before we wrap it up and get to Division 2. When Stoics are 4-1 right now, they played the Bruins. Chris wasn't there. They had Noah throw that game. And they didn't have James as well either, right? So I think if they do have James, they have Noah as a receiver instead of playing that quarterback position. Yeah. And you do have Chris. I do think they end up winning that game, and they would be a team that's 5-0 right now. So and they do play Stoics.
Stoics Idaho. Yep.
Yeah. So we'll see. They play March 15th at the complex. So that's also something that we're going to be able to look at. All right. So let's go to 2. I don't want to talk too much about Division 3 now because we could talk about it forever.
All right. So we have D2 looking at it right here. So looking at the schedule wise, in terms of week 9, they have a game tonight. So instead of Idaho, it's Idaho. UWPim's taking on Mongoose. That's going to be tonight at College Saint Jean Vianney. I had a chance last night to talk to a buddy of mine, Alex Blake, who's played a couple of games with Mongoose, and he says kind of what everyone knows, right? Their defense is not bad. The defense they can make some stops. It's just their offense is struggling. They're struggling to put up points on a consistent basis. Some of that's due to drops. Some of that's due to the decision making by the quarterback and the lack of talent that they have at the receiver position, considering the guys they've lost this offseason. Again, it's a talented team. Again, they're in Division Two for a reason. They have the talent, but it's just the lack of consistency offensively was kind of been their Achilles heel this year so far for Mangoose.
Yeah, for sure. So I played Mongoose. I played them. I just played them during the weekend.
Yeah.
Last weekend, we won like 38-20, something around that
Yeah,
score.
38-19. 38-19.
Year 19, yeah. So one thing I do have to say is that they are missing a few players, core players, for them to actually compete in Division Two. I think that's their biggest problem, offense and defensive wise. I think they're missing some core guys that they kind of needed. They kind of needed
Yeah.
to make that push into Division Two to kind of stay balanced with all the other teams. One or two guys do go. They do. It goes a long way, right? Having
True,
two
for
solid
sure.
guys being able to make those stops for you and scoring for you. So I think that's one of the biggest issues that they did have, and we realized it right away when we were playing them. They are. I don't want to take anything from them, but right now their roster that they bring every single week is not. It's not a top two
No, it's not.
division two team. It's a bottom division two team, and that's the reason why they have the record that they do have right now.
That's true. That is true. I mean, again, no shit at the guys who are trying their best, right? I mean, listen, they're going out there, they're trying their best to play, but there's a separate, and this is where you get right with Division Two. I mean, there's a lot of Division Three teams who think they can play Division Two, and I can tell you from playing at least Tier Two, playing in the FPF Cup. Obviously, it's not the same as Division Two in the winter, but from playing Tier Two, a lot of these teams are in there, right? A lot of these quarterbacks, like guys like Mark Andre Reeves, Brady, who actually threw up, Ben McMahon, right? And AJ now, who's become a pretty solid Division Two quarterback. There's a big, and Quay Johnson, list goes on and on. Will Power. There's a big jump between the top teams and the bottom teams in Division Two, and you see it. Like a team named Mangoose, who just they're lacking the players to kind of make that to kind of be in contention, and clearly they're not, right? They're 0-7 on the season. One team actually who is not lacking in playmakers, but who did have a couple guys lacking, at least defensively, in terms of guys who are available to play. One Stop. I mean, I've talked numerous times about how they're my team, they're my choice to win Division Two. They were missing two guys in Ryan McNally and Janai Copeland Lewis, and they got hammered. They got smoked 34-18 by ECW last Saturday down in Laval, right? And
Mhm.
again, Ryan Stop. They had one loss early in the season, but that not just a loss, but a blowout loss to ECW is definitely a statement win for them. And I'm looking at ECW right here, right? They're a team I want to
Huge one.
say, yeah, they started 0-3, ECW. They've rolled off 4 wins in a row. They knocked off Shake and Bake. We talked about a couple of weeks ago. It was kind of a Hail Mary play at the end. They knocked off KGP. They knocked off Crushing Corinthians 13 back on February 15th, but then they had a lot of time off, right? They had half a month off, and they came out and they were impressive against One Stop, no matter who was in the lineup. They put up 34 points and they held an explosive offense to only 18 in One Stop. So props to ECW, a huge statement victory. And now you look at the standings, right? They've climbed the standings. They went from one of the teams who was near the bottom, and I believe right now they are sitting in seventh. Actually, really, they're tied for points. Although with you guys with the infantry, all you guys have 8 points. The infantry, Crushing Corinthians 13, Silent Ticklers, and ECW all with 8 points on the season. So ECW now is technically one game out of second place, who fins up and One Stop occupy that second place spot with 10 points.
Yeah. No, it's a huge win for ECW. The fact that they're actually at the bottom of the list. They were not even in a playoff spot when they started 0-3. So the fact that they're 4-3 right now basically just goes
Yeah,
to show that when you start a spark and you just keep letting it light, you just go with it, right?
that's it.
So
That's it. Yeah.
big shout out to them. Um, to go on from that, Mongoose and Norgard. Norgard lost the previous game that they just played. They end up playing
Yeah, the Silent Ticklers. The
Iron
last,
Ticklers, right?
yeah,
So Norgard's season is
it's over. It's done.
officially
It's done.
almost. I would say almost it's over.
No, it's over. It's over.
Even if they win the next 3 games, they finish 3-7. It only takes Diamond Bougie to win one of those
Yeah,
games.
Exactly.
To kind of knock them out for points against the points for. I don't think Diamond Bougie play no regard.
No, they
So,
did. They
oh yeah,
did. They
Diamond
did.
Bougie has,
They did.
yeah, they did.
They did.
So
Week
Diamond
3.
Bougie has a tie break. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I would say no regard season's pretty much done, and I think Mongoose's season's almost done. You have KGP that kind of gets the they have their season, their faith. They play the back of the schedule, so their next game is March 15th, I believe, and I think they play us. They play Infantry, so for them, they get to see how everything develops, who's winning, who's losing, and they kind of get to see how many games they're going to need to win or how many games they're going to have to lose. Sorry, how many games they have to win. So they play us March 19th, and that's their next game. And then they have 5 games after that. So they don't play until a while. So I believe coming down to the stretch of it, I think everyone else is safe, except for Diamond Bougie. I think Vultures kind of find their footing.
Yeah.
Party Ballers are going to be fine. Idaho, Uda Pimps are going to be fine. Shake and Bake are going to be fine. I think it's going to be between Diamond Bougie and KGP coming down to the last playoff spot. Just because I think everyone else is it's. I think everyone else is kind of solid. I think they're going to get that extra win. I think 4 games get you into playoffs no matter what. 3 is going to be the bubble. So I think if KGP plays Diamond Bougie, I'm pretty sure they're going to end up matching versus each other.
They play
so
Saturday, March 22nd.
Yeah, so that's going to be pretty much a playoff game for Diamond Bougie for them to try to win that game. Because I think if they win that game, they get the tie break against KGP. And for KGP, then it would basically mean for KGP is they're gonna need an extra win because they won't have the tie break against Diamond Bougie. So instead of having 3 games, instead of having 3 games of wins that KGP is gonna need, they're gonna need 4 to kind of bump out Diamond Bougie if Diamond Bougie only wins 3 games to finish the season 3-7. So I think that's how playoffs is going to come down to it for Division Two, and then we have the buys that are going to be given to the top 4 teams. So that's also something teams are going to be fighting with. Question: Dirty Birds right now, right? 6-1. They lost the game versus Kush, where you had Jalen Reeves. I think it's last name.
Jalen Greaves.
Yeah, Jalen Reeves at QB, and he kind of just seems like he kind of just torched them, which is kind of funny. The fact that he played quarterback and he dropped 30 points on him. No disrespect to him, he's a crazy athlete, but the fact that he played quarterback and he's able to score. He went 17 for 2,891 yards, 5 TDs, 2 interceptions. Right. So we talked about this before.
The last time,
Is Dirty Birds in trouble, or do you think this is something where they'll just be able to bounce back and finish the season?
Yeah,
because right now they sorry, just to finish. Right now, their end of their season is hard. They play Fins Up, one of the top 3 teams. They play Idaho, which is a veteran, very good team, and then they play Infantry. So their next 3 games is probably versus the top. I believe it's the top 5 teams that they play. So you have Fins Up, that's number 2. You have Infantry, that's us, that's number 4. And then you have Idaho, you the Pimps that are number 9, but they don't play them until the end of the season. So they could jump up those standings since they only have 5 games left. So do you see Dirty Birds dropping the next 3 games? Because it's possible, or do you think they're going to finish their season strong and finishing in the 9-1 or 8-2 type of?
I mean, they're not going to drop the remaining 3 games. I mean, that's just not going to happen. They're too good of a team to have that happen to. Like we talked about last time, it was an upset loss to Cushing Corinthians 13. I think out of those 3 remaining games, like you said, they have Fins Up, they have Idaho Uda Pimps, and they have the Infantry, you guys. I think they win at least 2 of those games. I think they're going to be able to knock off Fins Up. And I think that'll be their toughest matchup, and obviously we'll have to see what happens down the line. But I don't see them losing the next 3 games. Like they're going to win at least 1, if not 2 of those games. Speaking of the Dirty Birds, looking quickly because I know we're trying to get to Division 1 here. Looking quickly at the rest of the schedule. So like I said, obviously tonight, Idaho Uda Pimps against Mongoose. That's at College Saint Jean Vani, and Idaho Uda Pimps are gonna get the W there. Saturday there's Mongoose and Vultures. Sunday there's Shake and Bake and Idaho Ute Pimps. I think that's gonna be a good game. And then Monday 3 games, No Regard and You Guys Infantry, ECW Party Ballers, and then again Fins Up and Dirty Brits, which I think will be the game of not just a week. It could possibly be the game of the season. We'll have to see what happens there. But again, a lot of games starting to a lot of big games starting tonight with Idaho Ute Pimps and Mongoose, and over the weekend and into Monday.
Yeah.
Let's go quickly over to Division One where we wrap up all the men's action here. So again, yeah,
we actually, yeah. So if you think about, we talked about Division One from the last game. Nothing really changed. Not a lot of teams played.
yeah,
So there's not
exactly.
much to talk about Division One. We have this, as again we said, the top teams. Braves are at 6-0. You have Party Crashers are at 5-2. Royals still at 4-0-1. They got that tie. They got the tie versus Party Crashers, where you had AJ at quarterback instead of Jesse Dupree. Came down. We have a couple highlights that they actually posted on FPF where you were able to view it, where you had a crazy catch, toe taps by Serge Pinot that he also made. Then you have Flagmore at 2-4, which is kind of surprising. The fact that they dropped the last 4 games, and then you have All Stars 1-2. They've only played 3 games, so they have a long back schedule, and then run it twice versus Bless. Run it twice at 1-6 and Bless there at 1-6. So nothing really changed as much. To be honest with this division, it's going to come down to run it twice and Bless to see who's going to make that last playoff spot. Playoff breakdowns, you get the one seed and the 2 seed get buys. The buys are going to be, it's either going to be Braves, Party Crashers, or Royal. I'm going to give it to Royal that they're going to get the buys with the Braves. So it's going to come down to Party Crashers, Flagma. It's going to come down to run it twice and versus Blessed to make it into the playoffs, and then add the seeding work. It's going to be between those 4 other teams to see who they're going to play against. But and then schedule-wise for this week,
but I mean, there's a game. I know there's a game tonight, right? It's All Stars against Flagmore at Stady Bear. That's gonna be a big game. I had a chance actually to watch last night in Laval where I was working. I had a chance to watch the Party Crashers, a big entertaining W. They knocked off Flagmore 35-32. So for Flag, it's 2 games and 2 nights, right? Just a quick shout out to for Party Crashers, Anthony Brisebois, the main man himself, again, one of the top players, if not the top player in FPF, where he had 3 TDs last night. Frankie Hogue as well, 3 TDs and 2 sacks, so he came to play for Flag. And Guillaume Paquette, 2 TDs, and as a rusher, 2 sacks. That game kind of came down to the second half, right? So Party Crashers were up 21-12 in the first half, and then Flago scored them 20-14 in the second half. This game really came down to conversions, right? And as it always does, Flagmont Sack, a veteran team, veteran QB, veteran weapons all over, 0 conversions in that game. 0 conversions, which is a huge reason why they lost. Party Crashers, they had 3. Anthony Breezeball had 1. Mendo Joseph had 1. Both of those conversions for 2. Jordan St. Alexi had 1 extra point TD. And Jordan Alexi had 1 touchdown pass. Fred Dupuis had 4 touchdown passes in that victory. But again, another reason why I think Flag lost, besides the conversions, was the fact that they were missing the top receiver, right? They were missing the other Nadeau Priest brother. I mean, Sam Nadeau Priest is the wide receiver. Yeah, he wasn't in that game last night. And
so he's missed the last 2 games.
Yeah, so him and his brother Alex is the brother. Sam's the receiver. That's the top combo of that team. 3-point loss. I think you really attribute that to the fact that Sam Nadeau Priest didn't play in that game.
Yeah. Also, the fact that Francis Hush only had one target for 1 catch of 5 yards. You need to get this guy the ball way more.
Exactly.
Something that's also, I don't know what it is, and it's something that's bothering me. It bothers me a lot. The fact that the Party Crashers, if you always look at the Party Crashers roster, right? They have studs on studs on studs. They have so many guys. Sometimes you look at this roster, like, how are these guys all playing together?
Yeah.
But one thing I never understood is how they never win a championship. I don't.
I wasn't going to bring that up, but you know what? I was going to wait till a little later in the season, but I can tell you why. Listen, I know a lot of the guys on this team, and Fred Dupuis is a great quarterback. Fred Dupuis, you're building a roster. He's definitely a guy you would think of in terms of the top quarterbacks in this division. The question, and it comes out to him every year. I've written for Division 1. I'm writing for Division 2 this year. I run for every single division in FPF, at least for the male side. Fred Dupuis, sometimes in those big games, he'll miss a throw or he'll throw an interception, like a mind-boggling interception. Like, what are you doing? He can make all the throws in the world. Great arm, and he's accurate as heck. But sometimes in those big moments, usually in playoff games, it'll come down to one or two plays, and sometimes he doesn't make them. Credit to him this year. So far, he's proven that narrative wrong. He's made a lot of big plays, and his team is in contention for first place in the division. But I have seen with my own eyes in games where he'll just make that one throw, and it's like, that's horrible. But again, right now they're 5-2-1. They're 1 point back of the Braves for first in D1. So right now he's proving that wrong, like I said. But we'll have to see what happens in crunch time, and more importantly, in playoff time. We'll have to see what happens down the stretch with him.
All right, let's jump into co-ed 3.
Yeah, so co-ed 3.
So co-ed 3, again, nothing much has changed since the last time we talked. So nothing, to be honest, nothing has really changed in co-ed 3 since we talked from the last podcast. So what we have right now, we still have anything at 7-0. So we talked about that last time. The games, I guess we go from the schedules, the games that we didn't talk about.
Okay, so what we can do here, because again, so I mean, we filmed, so the podcast is coming out, not this one, but we did a podcast last night, because last time we didn't cover any of the co-eds or the women's or 5v5. So we talked about all the games that happened previously. Last night, it was Thunder Villains knocking off Ghosted 27-12. So the final game remaining for week 9 will be taking place tomorrow night, because again, we're filming this on a Thursday. So tomorrow night is Vultures taking on Tight Ends. So that's the only matchup that's left in week 9. So then we move to week 10. That'll be again Dream Killers, Flamingos, Thunder Villains, Kiss My Aids, Vultures, Pick Artists, Vicious and Delicious taking on Ghosts. But we talked about a lot of those games, obviously, in the podcast that we filmed yesterday, that it should be coming out either tomorrow or on Friday. So we don't have to rehash that again here. But again, so there's 5 games remaining between tonight and this coming Monday for co-ed 3. So again, if you wanted us to go in details, go back to the last podcast that came out. We go into a bit more detail in those games, but again, a lot of big games in the standings, like you're talking about Quaysie with the standings for co-ed 3. I'm sorry, I'm getting myself right now.
No, yeah. So we did pretty much talk about everything regarding that. I think I don't think we talked about what was then probably the biggest game this week. And I think coming down to week 10, I think Ghosted, no. I think the biggest one is going to be Vultures versus Pick Artists, because they both share a record of 3-3. Vultures are 3-3, and Pick Artists is 4-3. So I think that they're probably, whoever wins, they're going to switch spots. So if Pick Artists wins, they go a bit higher, but if Vultures win, they kind of bump out their spots. Other than that, Thunder Villains versus Kiss My Ace. Kiss My Ace are on the top. Thunder also is 4-2, so they also can make a little switch between those two teams. Whoever wins, they're going to kind of bump each other out. So they're kind of they might do reverse roles with each other, or they're just going to stay in the same spots. So if Thunder Villains win, they kind of take away Kiss My A's spot, what they're in the second seed right now, I believe. Yeah, so they'll take their spot up and down, and then they'll just kind of do a switch from that. So other than that, nothing really interesting going on in this division.
And I hear you. So the only thing I'll say about that game tonight again with the Vultures and Tight Ends. Right now, Tight Ends are on the outside looking in the playoffs. They're 1 point behind the Gold Diggers, who have the last spot. So for the Tight Ends, this is a huge game for them tomorrow rather. If they can knock out the Vultures, they'll not only be in the playoffs, but they'll leapfrog 3 other teams. And again, Gold Diggers, Vicious and Delicious, and Ligurier, the Pamplemousse are all tied for that last playoff spot with 4 points. Tight Ends have 3. So then with that W, if they could get the upset, they'll go to 5 points and they'll leap ahead of those 3 teams in the playoffs, and they'll knock out the Gold Diggers, at least for the time being, if the Tight Ends can get the upset.
Yeah, so Tight Ends, big game for the Tight Ends, actually. It's a play that's pretty much a playoff game for the Tight Ends moving forward. That they really need that win for them.
Definitely.
Okay, we'll move to Division 2. Co-ed 2.
Co-ed 2, yep.
So I think it's kind of the same thing, right? Because we talked about this, the other podcast from the previous podcast we did. So it comes to the same thing. Just going through the schedule. So we have
one game today.
Yeah, exactly. So we talked about everything from the last podcast because we were on that following week. So we have the one game tonight. So we missed the Michael Scott Tots versus Red Zone, where Red Zone kind of took care of business.
I got to score keep that game last night. That game was kind of ugly. So there was 3 games that went on last night. So we can see here Team Rocket knocking off Ball Hard University 21-0 at Snatty Bear. Crazy Frogs knocking off the Bandits 40-0. So I don't know what's happening with all these shutouts. The Michael Scott's Tots game. So Kenny Batulia wasn't throwing; it was actually P. So former host of the podcast, part of the FPF family. Still, a lot of picks. I don't want to recap too much what happened in that game, but Red Zone dropped 45. Michael Scott's Tots had 19. Now, out of the 45 points that the Red Zone scored, again, four INTs by P's, and one of them was turned for TD by Didier Brisebois. It's pretty much just P's was inaccurate for most of the game, and Red Zone took advantage of that. A lot of turnover on downs, a couple of INTs, 4 INTs in total. It was just when one team turns over the ball 4 times, the other team doesn't turn over the ball at all, it's going to be a blow. And that's what we saw with the 45-19 W by Red Zone.
I would feel like a lot of the 3 games that did happen, I feel like a lot of interceptions on the losing team side happened like that. Then tonight we have Purple Blood versus Who's Going to Carry the Boats. These are 2 big games for both these teams because right now they're at the bottom of the bunch. They both desperately need wins, especially Purple Blood. If Purple Blood could get this win, they'll end up being in the green and have a playoff berth for themselves. But same thing for Who's Going to Carry the Boats. If they get that win, they could end up getting into a higher seed into the 17, 18, because right now they're at the bottom of the 20. They're at the bottom at 21, being only 22 teams left in this division. So for them, it's a big game. Moving forward to week 10, we have a lot of games. A couple big games. I think we talked about it a bit, but just to make sure, you have Tonics versus Daycare. That's gonna be a good game. McNuggies versus LDN. That's also gonna be a very big game because it's the top teams like that. Purple Blood's gonna be playing Team Rocket. Purple Blood could end up winning a game versus Who's Gonna Carry the Boats. It's gonna be a big matchup for them versus Team Rocket because Team Rocket right now is the number 1 seed, so they're gonna kind of get to see how they play. Same thing for Who's Going to Carry the Boats versus the Flag Force 1. If Who's Going to Carry the Boats win that game versus Purple Blood, they also get their one chance closer to make a playoff berth to get into a 3rd game win. If they do win versus Purple Blood, they'll have 3 games if they could end up taking care of business versus Flag Force 1. Other than that, you kind of have a lot of these teams like Block Party versus the Westies, Crazy Frogs versus Kamikaze. A lot of those teams right now are in the middle of the pack. So as we said before, it's gonna be those games where if you lose, you gotta get jumped and you take the spot or the team that beats you.
Yeah.
So again, very interesting situation. Playoff wise, there's 22 teams. 16 teams qualify, so no bye. So you kind of don't want to be at the bottom of the seed. You don't want to finish 15, 16 because then you end up playing the top seed, and you probably most likely do not want to play against the top seed. You probably want to be in the middle of the pack.
Yeah.
And play the 8th versus 9th seed. Other than that, I'm not sure if any other games look good for you that you want to talk about, or.
No, I think we're good. I mean, you just covered a lot there, and we talked about a lot of these last nights. I mean, for me, I'm good. Again, like I said, a lot of these games coming up, especially this coming week, really are going to impact the playoffs. So again, some teams on the outside looking in that are trying to get that W to get a little closer. So best of luck to those teams, and obviously some other teams looking to solidify their spots and climb in the standings. So again, a lot of big games as far as the postseason is concerned. Mm-hmm. We're in crunch time, right? We're in the second half of the season, so all the games matter.
Yeah. So we'll go co-ed 1, as again, we talked about co-ed 1 as well.
Yeah, so there were no games last night. The last games were Monday. We talked about those. Again, there's 6 games coming up in total, and 5 of them are taking place all on Sunday. Party Mix, Monarchs, Fit Squad, Kiss My End Zone, Hoosh Mizzou's, Dominoes, Plenty of Fish, the IG team. Again, I talked about it yesterday. Yeah. Again, those are 2 teams that have fought in the playoffs and then for the finals before. So again, that's a rivalry game. Pass Whoopin', Banner Nice Shrine, and emerge against Easy Fun. So a lot of high quality matchups, a lot of big games. Again, 8 teams in co-ed 1. 12 teams, 8 made the playoffs. So right now, Monarchs, Easy Fun, Fit Squad, Party Mist, like we said last night, trying to find their way in. Monarchs and Easy Fun are tied with Dominoes, who have the last playoff spot with 4 points. So 3 teams tied with 4 points. But again, right now, Dominoes have the tiebreaker. So Monarchs and Easy Fun trying to get W's coming up soon, obviously, to kind of get into the
Yeah.
playoff.
One thing I do have to say about this division is that even though it's only week 10, a lot of teams, especially the bottom teams, so Ben had a nice try, pass open, kiss my end zone, push Mazos, Dominoes, Monarchs, Easy Fun. A lot of us are kind of, because I play for Dominoes, a lot of us are kind of playing for that playoff spot now, right? So a lot of games do matter. Every win is going to make it account because you don't want to be the bottom team as the 8 seed. The 8 seed right now, like we're not comfortable that we are 2-3. It's a good thing we only played 5 games, so we're probably the one of the teams as the Monarchs and Bananas try that only played 5 games, so we kind of had that advantage in our pocket as well. So the fact that we do get an extra game other than other teams that already played their 6 games, so we do get a win, we kind of bump them up because we would have one less game than all of them moving forward until the end. Until we catch up on our schedule. So it just goes to show that it's super tight, even with Party Mix and Fit Squad, as we talked about in the last podcast, where it's like now it's a time where every game counts and you just start making these wins.
Yeah.
Only teams that are kind of safe are the IG team, Plenty of Fish, and the Merge. I think they kind of have their playoff spot with their team. I think they'll be fine. They'll probably end up Plenty of Fish. I think they probably win an air game, so they'll probably 5 wins will definitely get you into the dance. So moving forward, all the other bottom teams are gonna have to try to make a push here and try to start to get and are gonna try to get as much wins as possible to get them closer into the playoff push.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and good luck to all those teams. Good luck to all the teams, obviously, playing this coming weekend and into Monday night. Because again, everyone's trying to make that solidify their spot in the playoffs, and hopefully, everyone gets what they want. I mean, that's not going to be the case, but hopefully, at least more teams than not get what they're looking for over this coming weekend.
Yeah.
So let's hop up to women's 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah, one game taking place tonight, Hebrew 3 against Linux. That'll be at Stady Bear. So that'd be a big game in terms of the playoff standings. Is looking at Hebrew 3 and Linux right now in the standings. Linux 3-2-1 record. So they're in 6. Hebrew 3-3 record. So they're in 9. So basically 1 point separates these 2 teams. Linux with 7, Hebrew 3 with 6. So obviously if Hebrew 3 can get the W, they'll leapfrog Linux and they'll be tied for 4th with the Citadin and the Wolfpacks of both those teams with a 4-2 record. They have 8 points. If the Linux are able to get the W, this is be even bigger for them. They'll leapfrog both the Citadin and the Wolfpack, and they'll end up in sole possession of 4th place because right now the top 3 are the Crocs with 16 points, the Saint Laurent Pats at 12 points, and Valhalla with 12 points as well. So a win for Linux will give them 4th, and a win for Hebrew 3 will give them potentially a chance to hop into that 4 or 5 spot in the standings.
Yeah. So it's gonna be very interesting. I think we talked about this the podcast that's gonna be coming out. It's gonna come down to a lot of games are gonna come down to the last stretch, right? You have so many teams right now that have 2 wins, and you have a lot of teams that are in the green that have 3 wins, right? So a lot of these teams, especially coming forward, you have I would say Cheetahs versus the Aces is going to be a big game. X-Cons versus Dream Killers is also going to be a big game. A lot of these teams that are looking for that 3rd win, Hard Hitters, X-Cons, Dream Killers, a lot of those teams are looking for that 3rd win to kind of bump themselves into a better playoff position. Right now, are going to be happening this weekend. So there's going to be a lot of big games that are going to be happening. Again, it's only week 10, and we have a week 14 schedule into this season, but a lot of these teams are in playoff. It's playoff games, right? And the fact that I guess maybe some teams don't realize that you're only played 6 games or whatever. It's not really playoffs yet. But a lot of teams that have played 6 games, the push is now. Like you need to make sure you go 4-6, 5-5 to end up making that playoff push because so many teams right now have 3 wins and they're in the green, and there's so many teams that have 2 wins that are in the red, right? So it just takes that that extra 1 game to get you into the green, and then all of a sudden you have 3 wins. You're like, oh, we had 3, we're in the green. All of a sudden, now you're 3-4 instead of being 3-3, and then you're back in the red, right? So moving forward, a lot of the games that are happening, that are going to be happening this weekend, week 10, week 11, week 12, week 13, it's going to be a lot of big adjustments and changes coming down into the standings.
Definitely. Looking to this weekend in terms of the games, right? There's 5 games coming up Sunday. So hard hitters Valhalla, Cavaliers, Lennox, Cheetahs, the Aces, Hebrew 2, Wolfpack, and Ex-Cons against Dream Killers. And then the one Monday night game at St. Jean Vanier is going to be the Saint Laurent Pats taking on the Cavs. So a lot of games. I got a question though for you quickly with this division. So we have the 3 top teams, right? There's only 3 teams that are contention for first. It's the Pats, the Valhalla, and the Crocs, right? The Crocs have 3 games remaining. They have the Aces, Valhalla, what could be the game of the year. And then they finish. I'm just looking at it right here. The Crocs.
They have two
probably,
games.
yeah, sorry, my bad. Yeah, 2 games. Sorry, my bad. 2 games. The Pats have the Cavs, Hebrew 3, and the Aces. And Valhalla has hard hitters, Hebrew 2, again, the Crocs, and also the Cheetahs. So looking at these teams, who do you think is going to finish in first between Valhalla, the Pats, and the Crocs when it's all said and done?
If Valhalla beats the Crocs, they finish first. They'll finish 10-0.
Yeah.
Then it goes. The Crocs will have the tiebreak against Patriots, so they'll finish 9-1, and then Patriots are going to finish 9-1. So it'll go Valhalla 10-0, Crocs 9-1, Patriots 9-1. So
Okay, so you say
Valhalla's
Valhalla?
if Valhalla beats the Crocs. I'm not sure if Valhalla could beat the Crocs. It's gonna be a good game. I don't know Valhalla. I know some of the players on Valhalla. I just don't know. I don't know them enough to kind of to say that they're gonna win. They look good though on stat wise. 243 points for, 106 against,
Right.
and they've been blowing out teams. They've been winning games they have to win. They have some impressive wins. They have a good win against Chaos, 26-27. So that's a big win for them there. They beat the Cavaliers. They beat the Ex-Cons. Ex-Cons is also a very good team. So they're winning. They're winning the games that they have to win. So their next biggest competition is going to be the Crocs. I think they'll beat the hard hitters easily. People too easily. The Crocs are going to be the biggest competition. So the winner of that game wins. The winner of that game wins the first. Is going to win the first seed.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
playoffs wise, for the playoff breakdown, I'll just show it up for everyone sees it. So the first 4 teams receive a bye, and then 12 teams make playoffs.
Yep.
So I think we said before how you said Wolfpack's gonna get the 4 seed as they're gonna get the bye. So, but yeah, I'll go back to Valhalla. It's either Valhalla or Crocs, and then. But I think I'm gonna say Valhalla's gonna get the first seed. I'll just go with that.
Okay. I like that pick. I'm gonna go with the Crocs just because I think out of all those 3 teams, they have the best quarterback, and so that's why I'm sorry. That's why I'm going with them. Yeah, I just think when it's all said and done, I think again they're 8-0, and again they're not the only undefeated team in the division, but I think the fact that they're 8-0 and they've been tested so far. I mean, obviously they beat Valhalla. I think for sure they get the W, but obviously they call it right now. I'm gonna say the Crocs are gonna take it again. They're led by I think who many would say would be the best quarterback in the division. And I think that matters. And of course, I'm talking, obviously, sorry, food in my filter. I'm talking obviously about with Catherine.
6 o'clock.
Shanika, I believe that's her last name. I hope I'm pronouncing it right.
Yeah,
I think she leads the best. I think she leads the best team in the division. Again, they're 8-0 for a reason. So I'm gonna go with the Crocs. Pardon me.
Okay. All right. So women's 1. Jump into it. So women's 1, we talked about it as well. I don't think there's any games that happen. Women's 1. Just gonna bring up the schedule here. So as we said before, you have 7-0, 5-1. They Beer 5-2. UCAM 4-3. Can 3-2. People 1-5. 0 and Red Wings 0-5. The previous podcast, we kind of talked about how Cayenne has dropped down into the 4th seed, which was pretty surprising. Les Bleus kind of made a big jump, ended up getting that win versus the Cayenne. So they're 5-2. So we said a big shout out to them. going forward, Les Bleus. So yeah, so exactly. So we kind of talked about everything that did happen. March 7th is going to be Sub-Zero versus Red Wings. We said that Red Wings Sub-Zero should take care of business. And then week 10, there's not really much that's going to happen. You have Habu versus Sub-Zero. Again, I think Sub-Zero is going to take care of business this Saturday.
Yeah.
And then that's pretty much it that happened for Women's 1. Nothing really
it's pretty much status quo.
Really to talk about.
I mean, it's kind of Sub-Zero. Again, we expect them to take care of business in their 2 games. Hopefully, everyone in general for all those teams, that was 3 teams basically: Sub-Zero, Red Wings, and Sub-Zero Habu. Hopefully, all the ladies stay healthy in that game and make it out okay. And then obviously we move forward to week 11, where there's going to be I believe there's 4 games taking place. Yeah, there's going to be 4 games taking place in week 11, but we'll get to those games on next week's show. I think that's pretty much it for Women's 1. Not much else to talk about, unfortunately.
Yeah. So we'll go to
5v5.
5v5.
Yeah. So 5v5 recreational. Looking at it here. Looking at the schedule. Oh, no. Right.
So it's kind of funny how we talked about all this in other podcasts. So it's kind of hard to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
I'm thinking about it now. The only thing to kind of talk about is if the games that we missed. Because,
that's what we're doing. Exactly. The games that we missed. Yeah. The games that are either coming up tonight or tomorrow, or the games that happened last night.
Exactly. So the games that I think that we didn't talk about is pass holes versus first down sniffles. Pass holes take care of business, winning 25 to 19. They end up getting a bit higher into the they end up going a bit higher into the standings. We're 4-2 with 8 points, 140 points for 95 again. So they're one of the top teams right now. Following the next week, Passos play Trap Stars 5, and then you have Mercenaries play Zaro. So 2 of the bottom teams right now playing. They're end up going to be playing versus 2 of the top teams. So hopefully one of these bottom teams can make a little upset, shake the standings a bit, get a little win instead of, because right now they're both 1-6, 1-6. So hopefully one of them could be 2-7, 2-6. 2-6, it'd be nice if both of them have it, because it kind of shakes up the standings, kind of shows like, okay, well, these guys have a impressive win against one of these teams, so it's not like all these teams are going to win right now. Because right now, if someone asked me who's going to win Pass Holes versus Trap Stars, I would take Trap Stars, and Mercenaries versus Zero, I'm going to take Mercenaries. So if one of these upsets could happen, it would be pretty nice.
Yeah, definitely. So I just want to go back to that one game that happened last night. So that game was decided. So credit to athlete Bodkin for pass holes in that 25-19 victory over first down Stephens. He got the pick 6 to win the game. Quarterback play wasn't that great. So Caleb Williams, I'm thinking of the Bears. Caleb Williams, of pass holes, went 12 for 19, 120 yards. That's impressive, but only 1 touchdown and three INTs. His counterpart for the first down snifflers, Matthew Couturier, went 12 of 20 for 103 yards, 2 TDs and 2 INTs, and of course one of those INTs being the game deciding play. Shout out to, I had to hear rushing yards. Okay, no, sorry, I'm wrong with that. I was reading something else. Anyways, so that game came down to a pick 6. So again, credit to Anthony Bourdain for getting the game-winning INT in that one. Jared Buck usually plays quarterback, played receiver. He had 3 catches for 41 yards and 2 TDs in that W. Like we said, there's no other games, I believe, happening tonight in this division. Pretty much we have to wait for the games to come up next week. But of course, we'll talk about those on next week's podcast. Again, big W for pass holes.
Mm-hmm. So we'll go division and competitive 2, 5v5.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, you're right. You talked about, Trap Stars 5 and pass holes, and Mercenaries and 0. Okay, so 5v5.
We have Blue Dry, X-Men, 5 Guys, Primal, Quebec, CT, Anomalous, and Quebec U16. So the games that did happen that we didn't talk about, I don't even think there's any games that happened. It would have to be on the Wednesday. We did talk about those. On Monday. So we kind of talked about all these games. Moving forward for week 10, you have Primal versus Quebec U16B. Hopefully Quebec 16B could end up getting their first win this season.
Yeah.
Gamlis Anonymous versus Blue Dry. Gamlis has a big job here. They want to knock out the number one seed for Blue Dry.
Yeah.
Hopefully they can do it. And then you have X-Men versus CT, where CT has to try to. That should be a good game because it kind of shows that if
Yeah.
CT can make a little comeback, because right now they're 1-3, so they're not looking so well. So if they could end up upsetting X-Men, they jump up to 2-3, and they kind of can say we belong in the top of the seeds, and it kind of shakes up the standings a bit too as well.
Yeah, that's it. I'm looking forward to this game because it's an X-Men team. And these are young kids. They're fast, they're confident, they're cocky, but they're taking on some older guys. Not older guys. Other guys are like in their 20s and early 30s in CT, right? So you have, I imagine AJ probably at the game. You have so Massimo DiPolito. He's a big physical receiver, right? You got AJ's brother Nick. He's not the tallest guy, but he's physical. Nick Ropini, another physical guy. Anthony Lazera, definition of a physical player. Anthony CG as well, right? So you got these young studs taking on some big guys who aren't afraid to be physical. So I'm interested to see what kind of game this is going to be because the X-Men can match CTE in terms of big playability and speed, right? But where CTE has the advantage, that's just kind of ironic with their name, is they are a physical team. So it's going to be interesting to see if these young kids from the X-Men can handle the physicality that CTE is going to bring.
One thing I also want to give a shout out to one of X-Men's player, Alyssa Roti.
Yeah, I like her. She's good.
Yeah, I haven't seen her play yet, but the fact that she's playing. Okay, well, so you could comment on this. The fact that she's playing in this league, I believe she's probably the only female that's playing out of the 8 teams in this league. 18 catches, 202 yards, 1 touchdown. So I'm sure she's kind of out of her not her comfort zone, but she's playing versus older guys. Oh, not older guys, but she's playing versus
guys, and she's only female. No, I hear you. Listen, I score kept her game last Wednesday. Again, I was talking about that game on yesterday's podcast against Blue Dry 7.1. She made an impact. She's not just a girl to have a girl on the team. Like she's actually a contributor on the team with these guys. But I'm gonna go back. I want to see her stats from that game against the X-Men.
I have it here.
Okay,
she has 18 catches for 202 yards.
I'm just looking for that. Sorry?
She makes a catch. She has a catch every single game, so she's making plays.
Yep.
Every single game, she has at least 2 catches for at least 20 yards or so. So she's making an impact out there.
No, 100%. Like so, I saw she's playing mostly wide, and she ended up playing a little bit of slot, but mostly she plays at the wide. She's probably like the 4th or 5th receiver in an offense, but she's quick. She's not the tallest girl, but she's quick. And she's fast, so she knows how to get it open. She runs pretty decent routes. Her hands are pretty solid too. When she gets the ball in her hand, she's able to make a guy or two miss. And you can tell like she's quiet. She's quiet as a mouse. I remember walking up to her during the game. She had a big first down catch on a 4th down play for her team. So the offense ended up scoring. She came off the field, and I go, "Hey, good catch, good job getting open." I gave her a fist bump, so she was super happy. And like she's a playmaker, and she's a contributor on the team. And Gautama, obviously Gautama Swinhan, he's the architect, he's the coach. He used to play for the X-Men, but now he's just the head coach, whatever, Eagles fan.
Mm-hmm.
He's always encouraging her, and like I'm glad that she's not just a girl that's on the team. Like she's a girl that's a part of the team, and she's helping them win. So good for her.
Nice to see. All right, let's finish up with with 5v5 competitive.
Competitive, yep.
So we kind of talked about this the last podcast as well. So you have competitive again. We have the top teams. We have Braze 4-1, Vengeance 4-1, Flag Moi 4-2, Rose 3-3, Party Throwers 2-3, 1-3, Jameson's Team Quebec 1-3, Team Quebec 0, Team Quebec B 0-13. So the games that actually happen, I don't think anything happened. And there's a game tonight. You have Rose versus Party Throwers. It's going to be a pretty big game for both teams. If Rose can end up taking care of business, they'll be 4-3, and they'll have the tiebreak versus Flag Moi. So it's a potential bump for that 3rd seed. And if Party Throwers could win, they will bump Rose in the 4th. They will bump Rose out of the 4th seed and kind of switch with them.
So I want to ask you. Obviously, you play on Rose. You guys have lost 2 out of your last 3 games, but you guys are coming off a big W, 36 28 over flag one sack a couple weeks ago. What do you guys have to do tonight to get the W over Party Throwers?
Just don't let them go deep. As we said before, we talked about it. Fred Dupree likes to go deep.
Yeah.
We kind of have to squeeze his deep routes and make sure he goes underneath. He doesn't like to go underneath. He kind of throws into double coverage a lot. So as long as we don't give him the deep throw and make him drive down the field, we should get the W. Because one thing with Fred Dupree is, how I see it, that he has so many athletic guys that he kind of sometimes just wants to like force in, just kind of makes the drive easier for him, throw a 30-yard bomb, scores touchdown, convert, whatever. But if you make him drive and throw those 6-yard comebacks, those 5-yard hooks, those drags, a lot of quarterbacks, especially for him, that he doesn't want to make that throw. He kind of want to make the big show throw, scores that touchdowns and then gets off the field and makes the defense try to do something. So we just want first to kind of win this game. We want him to make sure we keep the ball in his hands as long as possible. And if he gets in the situation where he gets into the red zone, that's where we have to make our stops towards him. Let him drive down the field and then make the stop into the red zone.
Okay. Well, best of luck to you guys tonight and getting the W. Hopefully you come out on top.
Yeah, and then for week 10, we talked about Vengeance playing Team Quebec. They should take care of that. Party Throwers plays Team Quebec. They should also take care of that. Hopefully the games are closer than that. Both games are in all games are in the complex. CN. So hopefully Team Quebec could actually maybe get an upset there. And then you have Team Quebec playing again the next day on Sunday versus Jameson's. And then you have a big game matchup versus Braves versus Flag Moi on the Monday. That should be a very good game. Flag Moi got the last win on the Braves, so I'm sure they're going to want to have a little revenge there and try to secure their spot a bit more into that first seed to get that easier matchup when playoffs do start.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of big games coming up this weekend, and good luck to all the teams taking part. Again, we're in like the home stretch, so it's like we said earlier, right? Multiple times, every game now takes them that much more important. So it's good to see. It's a fun time right now to be playing FPF.
Indeed. So I'm pretty sure I think we went through everything.
Yep, everything's covered
this week. Yeah.
Long episode. It's one episode, but it's a long episode. So hopefully you guys some time, sit back and enjoy it. Make sure to vote on the All-Star teams that Quaysie and I picked out for Division 5. So we got it from 5A and 5B, one All-Star team. So make sure to get out. It's going to be on Instagram and Facebook in a couple of days to go out to vote. And again, go out to vote on the other teams we have. Like again, Women's 2, Women's 1, and Division 6 as well. So make sure to go out and cast your vote and see who we picked as All-Stars. Again, like we said, every single time, if you agree with us, cool. Feel free to point out if you agree with us. Feel free to make sure if you don't agree with us to make that known as well. And put on some players who you would pick, right? So again, we only had 8 players per side. We can't get everybody, so feel free to kind of post on social media who you guys would pick for your teams, for the ladies and for the men's side, right? So that makes it much more fun for us, and we can see kind of if we agree or disagree with what some of the picks that you guys make at home. Yep. All right. So yeah, that'll do it. Any final thoughts? Pretty good.
No, just good luck to everyone this weekend. Just I guess when you probably see this the following week, but just to let everyone know that if you have any questions for us, just ask if you guys have any ideas to make the podcast a bit better. We're here to make it better. We're trying things here and there, so we're just trying to improve it. And good luck for the rest of the season.
All right. So that'll do it for the latest episode of the the FPF First and Goal podcast. He's Quaysie going to Maule. I'm Brent Bodkin. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Good luck to everybody in their games. Have a good one, and enjoy the weekend. The good weather is kind of here right now. It's not spring yet, but it's getting a little closer. Be good.
Peace.